Jigs and Bigs is proud to announce we're being supported by Old Glory Outdoors. They're a veteran-owned company that carries fishing and hunting gear. Plus, they're highly active in supporting veteran organizations and charities. Old Glory is an authorized dealer of favorite rods, FX rods, Guggen baits, X-Zone lures, Sixth Sense, and many more. There's a brick-and-mortar store located in East Brookfield, Massachusetts, but you can also order online at oldgloryoutdoors.com. They ship anywhere in the lower 48 states or order online and pick up at the store. When you order, use the promo code JIGS and Bigs and you'll save 10% off your complete order. Plus, you'll help support the show. Make sure to check out the apparel line called OGO Gear while you're there. Old Glory Outdoors believes in the slogan "Start 'em young" to keep kids away from screens and enjoying nature. They've got a full array of live bait too. Check out oldgloryoutdoors.com and use the promo code JIGS and Bigs. Save some money and gear up now.
Hey, Jerky.
Alrighty, guys, Tuesday morning here. It's a brand new episode of Jigs and Bigs. We have a good one for you. It's been an amazing week since the last show. We're up and running with the Jigs and Bigs tournament now. We've got information on that coming. We also have information about an MAKB West tournament that just went down, a unique one at that, and we'll explain why when we get to the tournament breakdown. We've got a couple hellos to say, made some new friends this week. Lots of good stuff to talk about. It was Mother's Day. I hope you guys did something special for the amazing women in your life. We have so much great show coming up for you guys. You're not going to want to miss out on this. Let's just go ahead and get to it, guys. We'll be back right after this. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another brand new edition of Jigs and Bigs. I'm your host, Bobby Roast Beef. I got Sean the Fisherman in the house with me. Sean, how's things this morning, buddy?
Man, what a weekend of fishing. A lot of fish. A lot of fish.
Intense. Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun. Whole lot of fun.
Good stuff. Coffee pause. We're slamming coffee. It's Monday morning. That's when we record. We got to slam coffee to get through this shit, but we're on top of it.
We're on it. We're here working hard for you, and especially you. I see you.
Good morning, Detroit.
I have a good week lined up for fishing. I got a really good feeling about this next leg of the tournament here, going into this next weekend. I got a good feeling. I got a little strategy lined up, so I'm looking forward to that.
I got a strategy. Display my identifier code. That's mine.
Yeah, that's a good thing too.
We'll get into that later.
Oh yeah, it all comes up. There were a lot of high points for sure through this last week, but also it was not without its share of which I displayed in front of my buddy Paul over this weekend in a way that he was getting a little education on CPR style tournament fishing, and he could learn from my mistakes. We'll say that. And then I got to pour a little bit out for the jerkbait that's not here anymore. I don't know if you guys saw my story on Instagram yesterday. I just posted it. But that one Sixth Sense Provoke 106X that I had been throwing in a supernatural, great color. I caught my PB on it. I did wrestle with, do I retire it and put it up on the mount when it's all done with the state pin? And I considered it, and I said, no, it's a fish catching machine, man. I've been doing well with it, so I'm going to keep fishing with it. I caught a pickerel on it, and then I caught a largemouth on it, and I've gotten it stuck here and there in some rocks, and I've managed to get it freed up every single time, and this last outing was a bit too much, so I had to play a little Sarah McLachlan for it, and it is what it is.
Yeah, you could have hung it up, man. I mean, when I caught the when I broke my personal best and broke the 8-pound barrier twice, I kept both of those jigs. They're down in the basement.
I thought about it. I was like, but I'm like, it's just a fish catching machine, and yeah. I've got pictures of it. I did take a picture of it so that way I could be like, yep, this was the bait when I caught that PB. But I'm like, I just would hate to retire it because I didn't have another one in that color. I would have just used another one. But I've got other provokes. I've got a bunch of other colors that look awesome, and they might work just as well. Who knows? But speaking of jerkbaits, I got into a good conversation about jerkbaits. And someone had asked a question in one of these Facebook groups about, jerkbaits that have been working well for you, what people to recommend. A lot of people recommend like the Megabass jerkbaits. And if you want to shell out $20 to $30 a piece, then, cool, go for it. And I suggested the provoke because I really do enjoy it. I think the action's great. I think it's fantastic. And I also think the stock hooks are wonderful. I think the hooks that bait comes with are great. Not the type of thing that you need to change out those hooks on. But there was a guy named Kurt had commented on my comment. He had replied and said, those 6 Cents makes a lot of great stuff, but he's like, there's something about that weight transfer system that causes them to crack. So you might be casting them into open water, crack the body, and then it just starts filling up with water on you. So he's like, just be wary. So I haven't had that happen yet, but I did crack a lipless going for a bomb cast, and it happened to hit a branch on the way by. Yeah, that nice, small, compact perch color Rapala that I've got?
Yes.
Cracked the body, like so BB's falling out of it, like just absolutely smashed the thing.
So that must have been a lipped one, right?
No, it was lipless.
A Rapala lipless?
Yep.
What model was it?
I'm not sure. I don't remember. I still have it. I'll show it to you.
Was it Fire Tiger or Perch?
No, it's like a perch color. It's very, very natural. It's like a perch. You know the one where I switched out that front hook?
Send me a picture of it later.
Yeah, I will. I'll send you.
Because that's like my main sticking point with Rapala and their lipless crankbaits. It's all I use for lipless crankbaits. Yep. And my sticking point is they don't make their natural perch. It pisses me off. So in all of their Ratlin Rapala models.
Yep.
Whenever I want to go to a perch pattern, I have to use their Fire Tiger because they don't make a perch.
It's the closest you have. I mean, I'm saying perch. That's not the color that it is. That's just what it looks like.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Send me a picture of it later. I'm curious now.
I love it.
I mean, that perch pattern I love so much. I mean, that's when I had that tattoo done on my back, and it's the osprey grabbing the perch. I actually asked the tattooist. I grabbed him a Rapala.
Yep.
In that original perch color, not the yellow perch that's like faded, but the original perch. Yeah. I said, make it like this, and he did. So I actually have that pattern tattooed on my body. That's how much I love it.
That's awesome. Steve O'Brien jumps in and says, went to tie on a Vision 110 Pro perch on the way to my spot before lines in, and boop, dropped it right through the scupper hole. Dude, that sucks so bad.
Yes.
Like... I'm curious. I'm curious, and maybe Lauren can chime in here, and maybe not. Maybe we can make this a thing. But scupper plugs that are screen mesh material.
I don't even take mine out.
I take mine out. I like being able to drain the water out. Yeah, I leave them all out. I like to be able to, have that freedom to do that. But like a mesh scupper plug that you put in that allows the water to go freely. But if you drop like tungsten, if you drop like a flipping weight or something like that, or something of any size, or a shaky head or something like that, and it's not going to go and take a long drink. You know what I mean? Tungsten's expensive.
I wonder if there's some sort of material you can grab and just mold, like those screens that go into your faucet, just bigger. Somebody's got to sell that shit.
I was thinking those screens that go into like your glass piece, and to keep.
Well, that's where they come from.
Yeah, exactly.
They make them. Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I'm talking about. It's for your faucet, not your pipe. But they can be used for both.
Look at this! First one on the board. Big Al down in Texas. Good morning, buddy. How's things? How are things? This is the gentleman right here, by the way, that made me wake up Saturday morning, look at my standings on Fishing Chaos, and go like, well, that settles my decision. We're not targeting largemouth. It was that.
I thought about that when we talked yesterday, and you had said that. Was it yesterday? And I was like, you know what? And this was my. We'll get into this later, but this is my thought during tournaments. Like, one of the reasons I don't worry about anybody else is I played my game. I played to my strengths. 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So like everything I do is still targeting at largemouth, but I pick up so much bycatch along the way.
Yeah.
That I don't have to worry about like, I'm going to target this until I get to a point where like, all right, now I need a bluegill and I've got to go fuck around in a bed with a Ned rig or something. Yep. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's interesting. Like, and I mean, I plan on fully nothing. Oh, see, Lauren jumps in. She says that she's driving, but nothing with screening. Okay. I see an opportunity here. Now the businessman side of Bobby Roast Beef is like, save your tungsten. Okay. All right. Anyway,
there you go.
Let's just jump in and start talking about stuff. I was actually taking notes and I put them over on this screen here. Sean, where do we say we're going to start here?
We were going to start with the trifecta. We are going to start rolling and let everybody know that there is a big saltwater tournament coming up that is sponsored and run by Three Bells Outfitters.
Yep.
We're going to give as much information as we can. We did have a meeting with Derek and Lauren last week, and they said some things we can talk about. Some things, unfortunately, are still in the works.
Yep. We don't want to give too much away and ruin it possibly if something doesn't work out. But
Yep. Well, there's some rules. Should I start talking about rules? I'm associated with rules. You do love
talking about rules here and there.
I do like rules. All right. So the trifecta tournament is a saltwater tournament. Targets 3 species, hence trifecta. I believe it's stripers, bluefish, and fluke. Am I correct on that?
I believe so.
Okay, if it's not blue, Lauren's going to blast me if it's not bluefish.
You son of a bitch.
I'm waiting for it. Or she'll send me a thumbs up. So, Lauren, there's your job if you're listening. I'm driving, nothing. Okay, she's still worried about the screens. Okay, so for that tournament, it's all artificials, no live bait. Mm-hmm. And we had the discussion about the wrapping live or dead eels with zip ties, and that ain't going to be allowed, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
So no eel rigs.
That was a very gross conversation.
But it was enlightening because I didn't know people did that.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Yep. So none of that shit. Life jackets at all times because this is a kayak tournament.
Yep.
So if you're out there, you got to wear life vests.
PFDs all the way.
Yep. There will be a virtual captain's meeting. So that's going to be, COVID safe, et cetera.
Benefit to that is that you can go back and watch it back if you miss something. So it's helpful.
Exactly. Let me have some coffee here. So the entry fee, $55. That's worth the value because there is a swag bag for every competitor. All right. We got told what some of the things were in the swag bag are, and we're not saying a damn word because
it's worth it. Trust me.
Yeah, I was like, there was one thing in particular that I had said. You remember during that conversation? I'm like, well, there's my $55. I'm cool with that. So, yeah, there's more to come on that. We're not going to blow the surprise, but there is a swag bag that's worth. Look at that! I was correct.
You are correct. Look at you. Look at you.
Give me a bell.
He says, "Give me a bell." Let's ring the bell for him. All right. Yeah, Sean got it.
Ring the bell. All right. Back on track. So Three Bells will have kayak rentals available.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, obviously with whatever supply, they have, they've got them. It's not like they're going to put everybody in a boat, but, whatever they've got, that which I think is really handy because if this is something that you're traveling a distance to, and you can make an arrangement so that you don't have to lug your boat with you, if you're comfortable with that, then cool.
Yeah. Yep. Contact Three Bells on that. Mm-hmm. A recurring theme of this show, this tournament will be run on the app Fishing Chaos.
Yep.
So this is again where we talked about the membership fees for Fishing Chaos. If you do the whole year, this is a tournament now that it's going to say $2.35 or whatever the hell it is, scratched off saying you're a member. Easy enough. You don't have to pay it. You already
pretty
paid
much.
It. Yep. And the one thing that is in person to start the tournament is there is a check-in and a measuring board inspection at Three Bells. So you will have to get your measuring board certified by the folks there. Make sure you're good to go. Then go out, catch your fish. And we can probably provide more details about the after event happenings down the road as they get more solidified.
Once things are more confirmed, we'll get that all set.
Yeah, so as far as the trifecta, I know you and I talked, and you've got, unfortunately, some business crap, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying that because from a fisherman's point of view, because I know what that business is. And
exactly.
Somebody would not probably be very happy about me shitting on their wedding, but
it's true.
We're fucking fishing, people. Get married on your own. Get married off season. Get married on the ice. Come on. They do it in Minnesota.
Get married on the ice. Oh, I wish that was more of a common thing. That'd be great.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Fucking don't bring gifts. Bring ice cleats. Or you will be the entertainment. So that's all I have on the trifecta. Did I miss anything that we talked about in that conversation?
No, you got PFDs, you got no live bait, we got the virtual captains meeting, the rental kayaks, the check-in and the board inspection, all that stuff. I mean, we're off to a good did we mention the weekend?
We did not. That's probably pretty important.
I would think so.
That's the oh God, they're gonna kill me. Hold on, I got it written down on my calendar. Do you have it written down?
I don't have it written down right in front of me.
We are pieces of shit this Monday morning, huh?
That's okay.
We're drinking coffee. We don't have dates. At least I got the species right. That was pretty good.
That's a step in the right direction.
So while I'm looking this up, let me finish up.
Go ahead. You look that up. I do want to mention that all the information regarding Trifecta is going to happen on the Three Bells Outfitters Instagram and Facebook pages. So stay in touch there. I guess previously they had some other accounts where they were getting information, but this way everything will be nice and streamlined. Three Bells Outfitters will have all your info on that. I know that there is a very, very large raffle going on, and I believe there are raffle entries involved with your entry into the Trifecta tournament. So this is a good opportunity for you guys to get out, catch some fish, have a great time. And what makes Trifecta really special is the community. That's kind of the whole aspect. So check it out. What are the dates there, Sean?
They are July 16th, Friday morning, through Sunday afternoon on the 18th. Yeah, cool. It's 48 hours of fishing. Now, as far as my involvement, I'll speak on that because yours is still up in the air. Yep. Obviously, I don't think Lauren or Derek would like us to say, hey, Bobby's going to make this or not make this on the air. So we'll talk to them off air. Mm-hmm. But I will be there Friday. I will probably have a table, sitting around, hanging out, chewing the fat, drinking some coffee, swearing at people. They have cormorants on the docks. I may try to catch, kill, and cook one. The usual.
Yep.
I'll be there Friday, hanging out, just hanging out. Saturday, I am going fishing with Ted. Now, I'm not super open ocean fisherman, so I'm just going to get out there, and Ted from Three Bells is going to be my guide, whether he knows it or not.
Yep.
And I'm going to follow him screaming, "Are there sharks out here? I don't want the sharks. Keep the sharks away from me. Are there sharks?
Are there sharks?"
So, Ted, get ready for about 6-7 hours of that, or 45 minutes, as long as you can tolerate. So that's that. And then Sunday, the closing ceremonies, etc., everything that may be going on, that's all up in the air. So we'll, if I'm probably going to be there for it. We'll see.
I love it.
So that's my involvement in the tournament. And like I said, yours is up in the air, I know, for now, and we'll clarify that with them, and we'll roll with it.
Well, and it's even gotten a bit more crazy because that event that I have booked is not for the Saturday like I thought it was. It's the Friday. So it's quite possible that those events run differently than others. Like the timelines are just a little bit different. And I've got a meeting with that couple coming up soon, so we'll go over some of those details. So that might actually give me more availability later in the weekend, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. There's a lot of time left, I'll be traveling a lot that month, so I'm going to be all over the place. But yeah, there's Three Bells. If you're a saltwater fisherman, get ready for it. If you're not a saltwater fisherman like me, I'm going out to have some fun, man.
Experiment with it.
My goal is literally catch one fish. Should we start talking, because it's kind of flowing naturally here, about perspectives on tournaments? Because I know you and I mentioned it the other day.
Yeah, we'll let the natural progression kind of go from Trifecta into tournaments.
Yeah, so I know we had some notes here. We do a pre-production meeting on this show, and it fucking went to shit in how many? We're not even 20 minutes in.
We're 18 minutes in. Yeah.
Yeah. So, with tournament preparation, all right, obviously there's different kinds of tournaments and different kinds of anglers.
Yeah.
And what I have learned is I treat every tournament and every day I go fishing that I'm not in a tournament the same. I'm in the same mental mindset. Okay. So it's not like I'm going out and fishing for fun. And it's unfortunate because you and I are so different on this approach, because when you go fishing with listeners, right?
Yep.
You have the mind frame of, man, I'm out with this guy. We're going to hang out. We're going to shoot the shit, maybe catch a fish, see what we can do, right?
Exactly.
I'm out for blood with the fish.
I know you are.
Sometimes it comes out as like super intense or just cold, but it's just over and over again. That's all I do is I get out on the water and I try to read what's going on and I try to catch fish. And that's all the other stuff secondary. Like usually if I'm fishing with somebody, I will drift away from them and come back after a while and say, how you making out? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Have lunch or whatever. And then I drift back away and try to reread or get a different read. Right.
Yep.
And that's not the way everybody is. So like, I think sometimes when it comes up on the show, like let's fish with some listeners, I don't think listeners are getting the two different styles that you and I present. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that you want to expound on that?
I know
because you fished with me, you know what it's like.
I think, well, like I'll use a good example. Like the first time we fished with Bill and Andrew and the Lunker lads, you know, the first sort of OGO Hookset Hoodlums like get together. We fished over in Central Mass together, and it was pretty like, you know, everybody dropped their boats in. Sean's ready to go. Makes a joke about the Hookset Hoodlums guys rolling in late, you know, or needing alarm clocks or something to that effect.
Smelling like Robert Downey Jr.
and he gets into his boat and he starts, you know, breaking down everything. Now, keep in mind, like our conversation on the drive over involved the map that Sean had taken and written notes on, places he wanted to hit based on wind conditions, based on, you know, time of day, you know, what he was focusing on and what he knew from preparation in advance. I'm getting my boat into the water. I got Andrew and Bill with me, and Ryan and Jake are putting their boats into the water. We're getting ready to go, and we're just sitting there casting lines, bullshitting. Somebody gets on a bass, and we're like, "Hey, good for you! That's awesome!" You know, just, you know, having a grand old time. And you know, as the day progressed, sure, we kind of went off in our own pockets and hit whatever stuff that we wanted, but it's a little bit like I say this often, that fishing is different things to different people at different times. You know, it's like it's all about are you getting what you need out of it for that time. So it's like I love going and fishing with somebody who's never done this before, and I've got a little bit of knowledge that like your absolutely green angler doesn't have necessarily, and I can help new people, and I really, really enjoy that stuff. I also like the content creation side of it. So like stuff like when we did the DeBomb fishing challenge, we've got Boats and Scroats that's in the process of happening. All of these things kind of, they scratch a different kind of itch for me. And there's nothing wrong with if you do, you know, take fishing super competitively, or, you know, you've got that one competitive mindset just to keep yourself sharp, because you got to do what you got to do, you know?
Yeah, and I think that that's just such an apt description, and that plays with the way that we are when we talk on the show, because you are always planning events, and I like events too after the fishing's done. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like I have one gear with fishing, and that's just the way I roll. Like there's no, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like I'm trying not to sound robotic about it, because I have a blast when I do that. The way I fish.
You enjoy the way you fish. It does it scratches that itch.
It's like playing, like for some people playing chess. People get excited about playing chess.
Yep.
You know, to me, chess is boring, but I don't play chess, or I don't play it that way. You know what I mean? Like it's, you know what I'm getting at? Like I'm playing chess with nature, I guess.
Yeah.
So
in a way you are, you know, I mean, I totally get it. I completely get it, you know, and I don't think anybody can really fault anybody for their unique connection with fishing, you know, whatever it is that they want to get out of it. If they're going to, you know, I love, there's something that Lauren and I had a conversation. We were talking about kayaks, and we were talking about specifically with the, what we were talking specifically about the way that the differences between you and I, like you went in and you had things that you needed. And it was, she said the difference between you and I was that when it came to you finding a kayak, you were on a mission. I was on an adventure. And those are two different sort of things.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a really great
It's a really
analogy.
Great way to put it, because that's exactly it. Like you've got a goal in mind, something that you're working toward, and you're taking steps to make that happen. As opposed to me, it's a little bit more free and wide open, and it's more like, well, what's going to be the next challenge? What is it going to be? Win or lose, like how am I going to grow or learn from this? So it's like, and that's kind of the beauty of it. I was like, that's really, really a great way to word that, Lauren. I kind of love that. So I think that kind of does hit the nail directly on the head.
Yeah. And speaking of Lauren, she just chimed in. One thing we didn't mention was the prizes for the winners.
Yep.
Or as she put it, Proz's Gore Winners. Don't type while you're driving, Lauren. We got this. You want to talk about the prizes?
Oh, what were the prizes?
I believe it was the top prize was a kayak.
Is a top? That's why I didn't want to mention it just yet. I wanted to get it all right, but I know that the prizes are insane. Yeah.
I mean, but seriously though, what are the Proz's?
Proz's. That's what we really got to know. And who are these Wimners?
I don't know.
Who are these Wimners? That's what we're going to call our little screen scupper plugs.
There's going to be gore of them. Sorry, Lauren. I hope she's laughing, not setting any paperwork between Jigs and Bigs and Three Bells on Fire right now.
If she's listened to this, she's already under the desk drinking at this point. It's okay. It's fine. They have a lot on their plate over there.
I know they do. So yeah, that's tournament preparation. I mean, like I have one gear when I fish. So, I mean, I don't want to tell people like, if you guys want to fish with us,
well,
I mean, manage your expectations, I guess is what I'm saying. Like you're going to get a different experience here.
I'm going to go ahead and pull the beef curtain aside here and put a little insight. Sean and I had a conversation last week where within the Hooks and Hoodlums pro chat, there was a conversation that kind of come up about pre-fishing a body of water and a get together within the Hooks at Hoodlums fam, and what Sean was like, he's like, I feel bad, like I've got only so much amount of time to pre-fish at this one location, and I know exactly where he's coming from. He doesn't want people to think he's a dick because he's out there like hammering drop offs and looking for weed edges and stuff like that, but like, when you're competing, like that is just the way it is. Like you got to fish it. If you have the luxury, it's a luxury to be able to say, I'm going to be able to take all this time and pre-fish where I can fit in the business side of things, but I can do it and have a little bit more fun and socialize with people. Because that's one of the beauties too about tournament fishing versus anything else. You never go to an NBA basketball game and there's like a group of neighborhood kids going like, nope, this hoop is ours. It doesn't happen. But in tournament fishing, it does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In tournament fishing, I just watched a video with Randy Blouquet about this, where, how do you handle, while you're fishing a tournament, wreck boaters, property owners, marina, slip renters, like what was the other one? Other tournament anglers, and just fun fishermen that are out there. And some of these guys specifically have a real like they get some kind of jollies off of like messing with a tournament or figuring that they can hang with a tournament angler, like, oh, I'm gonna outfish this guy or something. Hey, if you can, awesome. Who cares? But like, that's not necessarily affecting your income. You know what I mean? Like this tournament anglers there, that's what they're doing. They're earning a living in some cases at a certain level.
Yeah.
There's money on the line.
When we were in that thread, I had to kind of say like, I'll be there and I'm going to fish, but like,
yeah,
I'm not friendly fishing. This turned into a social gathering where I'm going to be there trying to figure out a massive body of water in one day where I can try to get fish. And again, my goal is just to put fish on the board. I'll be fishing up against people that fish for a living.
Yeah.
Like this isn't like, you can laugh. Like, I think we mentioned it once on the show, like, and this is going to play into some of the things that we see every year in tournament trails. Nate and I had a really good conversation on the way home.
Yep.
From the MAKB West tournament this weekend. And we talked about at the beginning of the year in April and May, tournaments swell up. There's numerous people in there.
Oh, yeah.
And after one or two tournaments, that number gets down because what happens is throughout the course of X amount of time, people go out fishing. And if they manage to catch, everybody catches a big fish. It's not like no one out there is catching big fish. People catch big fish. It just happens.
Yep.
And what happens is if you're with somebody that says, wow, you catch big fish, you should fish tournaments.
That sounds like a great idea.
They jump in on it And they don't realize that it's now a meat grinder. It's not fishing around with your buddies at a pond you might fished for 20 years. Now you have to break down and read an unfamiliar body of water in a time limit.
Yep.
And that is the hardest thing to do with fishing.
And
anybody can.
There's pressure. You have pressure because once you put money on it.
Yeah, exactly. You're paying to do that.
Yeah.
You might be paying someone else. So that's why you see tournament numbers are enormous at the beginning of the year, and then they whittle down towards the middle because people realize, oh shit, what have I gotten myself into? Because when you go out on a body of water, and it's happened to me, but I kept pressing with it. When you go out on a body of water with 20 or 30 other bass boats, if it's bass boats or kayaks or whatever, and you come in and you're the only boat or one of 5 or 6 boats that didn't catch fish, what do you think? How do you rebound from that? What just happened? How do you perform that autopsy? And it's happened to me. It happened for years. Like I until I learned to break down water a little bit in one way. And then I started breaking it down and expanding on that skill. And that's where now I can start to place and do well in tournaments. But like, I don't get into conversations with people when they say, what are you bringing out there for lures? Or what's your lure that you're throwing? Because my answer is, I don't know. You don't know till you get out there. Yeah. Like, there's some generalities. I might have just great example. I might have a jerkbait tied on. How do I know what pattern I'm using? That's why I minimize my choices, because I know certain patterns are more or less successful in certain conditions. So I look at the conditions and say, okay, we've got muddy water and blue skies. What do I do? What do I want to do? If I've got blue skies and clear water, that's a lot easier. If I've got cloudy skies and I've got muddy water, that's easier. I can go another way. But like, there's all these factors. I've got a buddy who fishes one pond, and you've heard me tell this story all the time. I've got a buddy who fishes one pond, and he catches big fish out of there. It's a big fish hole. And basically he just throws Senkos out and lets them sink. That's all he does. I'm not going to say he reads water well. I don't think he does, because of the phone calls I get. So if they're not biting Senkos that one day, I'll get phone calls like, hey, what do I do out here? And he golfs. So my response every time is, listen, if I called you from a golf course and said, hey, I'm at the golf course, what club do I hit? How many questions are going to come up in his head? What's your lie? Are you in a trap? Are you in the fairway? Are you on the green? No, I'm just asking, what club do I use? And there are a million factors that go into that I'm not telling him. Just like, what lure do I use? There's a million factors that I don't know about. And I if I'm not there, I can't see it. So like, when I hear somebody say, I'm going to go out and do this, and they're not even at the lake, right off the bat, it says, I think you're minimizing your chances of catching fish. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's really rough to predict. You're predicting the future. So when I don't ever really, I have a set of lures for places that I know I fished, things that I know are successful to some degree or not. But like, that is the single most difficult skill. It's not learning a bait caster. It's not learning how to throw braid. It's not learning how to pedal a kayak. If you don't know how to read water quickly, really consider your tournament options, because you're going to get into a tournament and you're going to be soured on it. Now, if you understand that and you still want to get into it and learn about it, that's different. That is different, because that's the thing. If you're going looking for like the instant gratification, it's oftentimes more humbling than it is rewarding. But out of that, what you have to look at is the long game. Out of that, like, knockdown kind of like, oh crap, like maybe I'm not, as well off and, made for this as I thought. It's how you rebound from that, how you learn and grow from that kind of makes a difference. Exactly. It really is. And then when I took all those lumps years ago, I developed a chip on my shoulder, and it wasn't personal against anybody. It was personal against Mother Nature. Yeah. And that's what I said. I'm going to learn to do this, and I'm going to slow down and take in everything, think about it, minimize my selections. This is why honestly, do you know anybody who carries less tackle than I do? No, very few people. Because I know conditions, and I'm able to catch fish with those small amount of tackle I have. Yep. I'm not going out there buying everything. I don't. Yeah.
And
I replenish stuff.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because like I oftentimes like I'll start out with a plan, regardless if I'm fun fishing or not. Like I fish generally the same way if I'm fun fishing or not. It's just a matter of like, I guess how dialed in I am, how much time I'll give to a spot will change. Depending on if I'm in a competitive, even better is if I'm fishing alone. If I'm fishing alone, I will move spots a whole lot quicker than if I'm with somebody else. I'll sit in a spot and continue to just bullshit and, work an area, and then I'll fall into this where I'll tie on something different. I'll say, okay, well, they're not biting this now. Like, we'll try this. Maybe we'll size down a little bit, see if I can get a finesse bite over here. Or I'll work, the bank a lot more thoroughly with a jig, for instance, instead of throwing a search bait to see if I can pick something off in that one spot, simply because I'm having a good conversation with somebody and having a good time or whatever. I'm a lot more apt to do that. So I think when you're tournament fishing, I mean, like you take a tournament like the Jigs and Bigs tournament, like the Chronic Trips tournament, where there's so many different methods that are allowed. It's not just boat fishing. It's not just kayak fishing. In those situations, it's generally better to fish on your own, I find. Because then you get to make the decisions and go on your way. I'm not saying like you don't go out and fish with other people, but meaning like you go off, you do your own thing, then you meet up a little bit later or something like that. And you're sort of fishing with purpose instead of just fishing for like the relaxation of it.
That's funny, because when I actually relax more during the Chronic Trips and the Jigs and Bigs, because that's when I'm going multi-species. And really for me, for tournaments, I might say money, because there's really that surprises. The prize money is for bass, and the occasional lunker pickerel. So those are my two
primary targets. Yeah.
So when I relax a lot more, when I say, okay, let's go out for pike. But again, I carry so few lures, and I don't carry a separate pike box. It's the same lures I'm using for bass that I know pike will hit.
Yeah.
It's simplicity. I try to go as simple as possible. KISS. Keep it simple, Sean.
Nice.
But that was the other thing that Nate did bring up, and I agree with him, and you've heard me say this again. The other important skill that an angler has to fish tournaments is that goes hand in hand with the ability to read water is developing an internal clock like a quarterback. Yeah. Quarterbacks have that clock. They know they've got 3 seconds to get rid of the ball, or they've got a 300-pound lineman, destroying them. You've got to figure out your clock. How much time do you want to give to a spot where you say, okay, something's wrong here? Am I throwing a jig? A jig is slow. It's a vertical presentation. All right. Is this color right? Have I gotten any follows? If the follows, were they at the end when the thing was horizontal? All these little things you have to pick up on what lure you're using, what it does, what kind of lure it is. Does it have rattles? Is it natural? Is it an obnoxious Fire Tiger neon color? Yep. All these things you have to pay attention to and make adjustments as necessary. Successful anglers do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to use myself as an example because I don't know anybody else's adjustments. Yep. But that Quabog tournament a month ago, there were 2 distinct changes in the atmosphere. I picked up on them. I switched my lures. I succeeded, and I won. I didn't use the same thing all the way through. I started the day because there was no wind. And it was cloudy. Mm-hmm. That's a top water for me. I use the term finesse top water. I don't know anybody else who does. I don't care. It's the way I can understand the lures I'm using. Yep. Floating Rapalas are a finesse top water technique if used properly. It's not cast out and reel. I don't use them like a search bait. They're slow. It's methodical. It's like using a rubber worm or a Ned rig, but on the surface of the water. Remember that drawing I showed you, and you're like, that was brilliant. So instead of hopping a worm along on the bottom, you're actually upside down. You're dropping a floating Rapala and letting it float back, letting it loop back up. Yeah. It's the exact opposite with gravity. So I caught fish that way. I filled out my limit. Then the wind picked up and the clouds were still there. I threw a jig, caught 2 fish that got me into second place, so 17 and an 18. Then I noticed the sun came out. That's when I downsized from the jig to the same trailer on a Ned rig, just smaller. So a smaller size. I went from a 4-inch trailer to a 3-inch trailer. And then to obviously remove the skirt. And then I caught the lunker, which was a 19, another 15 for a kicker. That's what anglers do when they're in tournaments. Like you notice these things. It's not just, hey, I caught a fish on a whopper plopper 2 weeks ago that was 5.5 pounds. That's
I'm
awesome.
going to fish that the whole time this one tournament. Yeah.
Hey, it's 20 feet deep in clear water on a smallmouth lake. I'm ripping a 90 or a 110 whopper plopper across the surface in 20 feet of water. People do that.
It's amateur hour. You got to throw the 190 or nothing.
That one Nelson one. That one's like the size of a shoe.
Dude, I've got a 190.
Yeah,
I love it. The thing is amazing. I've thrown it like 3 times. It hasn't caught me a damn thing, but I bought it for pike.
Yeah.
I bought it for large pike, you know?
And you know what's funny? All those, I fish for pike, and the only 2 fish I've ever caught on whopper ploppers, I caught a 19-inch or an 18 or 19-inch pickerel. Wasn't even big.
Yep.
On a whopper plopper maybe 3 years ago. And just this spring, I caught a 15-inch bass on another whopper plopper. I don't use them. They're going out of my tackle box. I'm done with them. Like, I just don't. I know people are sitting here listening to this going, I catch them all the time. Get into a tournament. If you're catching them on whopper ploppers, that's your thing.
Yeah.
And I respect you for that.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That's not something I can do. Just like drop shotting. I respect anyone who uses a drop shot in a deep water tournament. They're catching fish. I'm not going to do that. The Ned rig does that for me. It fits my style. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I found it's more versatile. Like, I just, it's to each his own on top of that. So when I see, oh, you got this lure, I got to get one now. Dude, I don't know if that works for me. Like, it takes time to develop that skill. There's so much that goes into it. Oh, we got comments.
Eric says, "Can I have your ploppers?"
Yeah, I'll get them to you for a good price, Eric. Yeah, I have 2. I have a bluegill one and a perch one, and I'm done with them. Like, they're taking up room in my tackle box. I haven't caught any fish with them, and I'm good with them. I'm catching fish in other ways, so they're taking up real estate that other shit can go.
And that's the thing. That's not to say that like they don't catch fish. I mean, I've caught plenty of fish on whopper ploppers. I absolutely. It's just one of those baits, that prop style bait. You know what I mean? Whether it's the Chapo, the whopper plopper, whether it's the Guggen has one called like the revolver now, where the prop is a little bit more in the middle. Like that style of bait, I totally get it. Like it's especially because Eric said he goes done.
Yeah, Eric, I'll sign
Shoot
him for
us
you
a message.
I'll sign him for you if you want. If you want to pay $1 extra, I'll draw little wieners on them right where the wieners should go. Yeah, and exactly. Like, so take this for a point. Whopper ploppers.
Yeah.
The giant stick baits that look like a Zara spook. That's the ass end is a propeller, right? Mm-hmm. I don't use those. But I've had tons of success tournament fish with tackle frogs, sprinkler frogs. No one uses those. It gives it a completely different look, and it does literally the same thing, except it's completely weedless. And it's a combination between a whopper plopper style prop bait and a frog. And I kill with those. So, like, does a prop bait work? Absolutely. Mine's more versatile because you can't throw a whopper plopper into some of the shit I'm throwing that frog into. Uh-oh, we got more comments?
Well, yeah. So Nick jumps in and he says, "Don't sign them. They won't be worth shit."
They will if they have a certificate of authenticity, Nick. I know about collecting shit. Thank you.
And Eric says,
I survived. Yeah, 5 extra. I survived the comics boom. I know about certification.
That's the thing. It's like, whatever it is that you like to fish, whatever style it is. I forget who it was. We had a guest on that said it about basically, whatever it is that you like to throw, if it makes you happy to throw it and fish it, it might not be ideal, but if it'll keep you fishing, that's the only way you're going to catch fish.
Exactly. And then here's the other thing that plays into it with fishermen.
Yeah.
Not only are we all, to a degree exaggerators, but our memories are all shot.
It's true.
All right. When you write stuff down and you see what you're actually catching fish on.
Yep.
That's when you analyze it and say, wow, I thought that this one lure was my fucking thing, and I have not caught a fish on it that was worth a shit in 3 years.
Yeah.
Great point. One of the first creature baits I used was a Zoom brush hog and a Zoom baby brush hog.
Oh, man. I remember when you and I first started fishing together, you were all about the brush hogs.
That was the tail end
about them.
I used those for a decade. I caught a lot of fish with them. And when I started keeping records, you know what all those fish were?
What's
15 inches or under.
Yeah.
I didn't catch a single good fish on those things. So guess what got dropped?
The brush hog.
I don't carry brush hogs anymore. because I just don't.
I will tell you, so after last year, like usually what I like to do is once winter hits, I like to go back and look at the last 12 months and then, go. And I like I said before, I've said this before, I use FishBrain for a lot of this stuff because I like the quick graphics that I can get based on catch. And I went through the catches that were of size, and what I found was that last year, most of the fish that I caught that were of, I think, over 16 inches were on 3 baits, either the BBZ rat, which just did damage, and that's only a year that I've been using the rat. So I know that I was throwing that because I was having luck on it, and I was continually. So I don't know if that's like a honeymoon period. We'll see if that continues through this year and the following year, things like that. So the BBZ rat did really well for me. Throwing a jig of any color that was the second biggest producer for large fish, but the one that was numbers for me, and I mean I caught some that were large. It was the third most that were large fish, but the one that was numbers, it was a weightless Senko.
Yeah, they work.
They just work, and it was like I can remember. This comes to mind quite often. Where remember the time you and I first went out and we fished with Todd Grubb, and it was my first outing with my kayak, and we fished for like half a day, and I'm just like, you know what? There's all this amazing cover I've been flipping jigs into, and I got to get on the board. So I tied up a weightless black and blue Senko, and I think within 5 minutes, I was on the board. I'm like, all right, skunk's out of the boat, let's go. And I caught some more fish on jigs and stuff like that, bigger fish later that day. But I was like, I know that this worked. First time, there was a spot with the spooky haunted place out in the Berkshires we fished. My first time out there, our goal was to go out to the pads and fish that line and throw frogs. And I was like, you know what? I'm not getting bit over here. Like, I'm not even getting strikes necessarily. I'm going to go over to this kind of corner where the weeds drop off and the water opens up, and I'm just going to throw a Senko. And I think I put a 16 and a half in the boat that night. And I'm like, okay, this is fantastic. I'm like, I'm at least on the board. But it's like, it's just one of those things where sometimes it surprises you when there are those baits that you just kind of take for granted. So, like, if you're throwing that Ned Rig creature bait, like Sean mentions, and you're throwing it that often, and it's just seeing the water that often, you would have to assume that it's doing well for you. But by tracking those numbers, you get a good, honest, like, look in the mirror as to, like, is this really performing? How is this really performing? And where does it weigh up against the things that I think are doing well for, like, big numbers,
Yeah, and that's the big thing is when any database is only as good as the entry and the person who's doing the entering, and you just got to be completely honest with it. It does help to show that I use this one lure. I haven't caught any bass on it, but I caught 500 bluegills.
Yeah,
and where that helps is a Chronic Trips or Jigs and Bigs tournament.
Yep.
But it's just being honest with it and being able to filter that data out is huge. I can't harp on that enough. I'm giving everyone really the learning that I did over 30 years of, whatever it's been, almost half of that was conventional fishing wisdom. Go out, not worry about anything.
Yep.
I think these lures work there, and I'm going to do this. And the second half was actually tracking my progress, establishing a baseline, analyzing the data, and taking action no matter how harsh it was. I think I like brush hogs. They're working, but they're not working in the way that I want them to.
Yeah, they're not performing up to that level. So it's like, you got to cut that dead weight. If it's not doing what you need it to, it's not worth necessarily carrying. I find I'm in that situation right now, specifically with soft plastics. Hard baits, I've got pretty dialed in, where I'm only kind of carrying the stuff that I have really great experience with that I know have worked for me. It's the plastics where I'm just like, I want to make sure I have a little bit of this in this color, a little bit of this in this color, use these here, but I don't get married to any one soft plastic. You know what I mean? And maybe that's my bad. Maybe I should, dial things in a little bit more, but I'm like, I look at like color and size and then action. It's like, does it have the action that I'm looking for? Is it about the size, or can I modify it to the size that I need it to be? And is the color going to work in the way that I want? Is it going to contrast the way that I want it to, or is it going to match the hatch because it's clear water? Like, what is this necessarily going to do for me? So,
yeah, I mean, I keep that in mind. I keep color, size, and shape.
Yep.
All right. Action kind of fits in there, but and then with hard lures, you get vibration and non-vibration, and then we can get into rattles versus blades, etc. But like, each lure has its different characteristics.
Noise versus silent, all that stuff.
Yeah, but I found I keep the same colors or as close to the same colors across the board.
Yeah.
So like when you see a color in a plastic that's popular, right? Maybe an oddball color like bubblegum.
Yep.
All right. Let's say you're having success with bubblegum Senkos. The next logical step for me is bubblegum going to work on search baits? That's my question. That's my scientific question. Next thing you know, I'm going to buy the search baits that I use. So I'm going to buy a chatterbait. I'm going to buy a lipless crankbait if I can find it. And I'm going to buy a square bill. Maybe even a spinnerbait too, but I tend to use most of my spinnerbaits at night now. Just like Senkos. I don't catch a lot of Senkos during the day, but at night they're one of my tools. So like I'll take those three and I'll say, okay, my hypothesis is bubblegum works. My question is, does it work in every shape and presentation, or is it just this presentation? And then, you run from there and see where it takes you. Maybe it only works with chatterbaits for some reason. Then you have a question. Why is it working for chatterbaits and Senkos, but not square bills? When did I throw that? What were the conditions? Do you see where it's all coming back to, like monitoring what you're doing?
Yeah.
And then that's figuring something out, not just going out there and hawking lures around and, catching that one bass or two bass a year that are really awesome.
Yep.
And saying, wow, look at me, I'm ready for tournaments, because you're going to find out you're not.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. I mean, we want people to be involved in tournaments. And I'm trying to figure.
And I think that needs to be said. Like, this is not coming from a place of like, stay out of tournaments, you don't belong in here. It's more of a place of like, understand that there's a shift that happens when you fish competitively versus recreationally or, therapeutically, whatever the situation is socially. There's a shift that happens when you get into competitive fishing where it's like a lot. I think most people generally is what we're trying to get at are not necessarily prepared for.
Yeah, it's managing expectations and setting small goals.
Yeah.
So like, check this out. If you and I were out shooting hoops, right?
Yep.
And I drained 8 3-pointers in a row, which actually in my backyard this spring, I drained 7 in a row. I still got it. It was awesome. Yeah. I actually can't do jump shots much anymore. I do this like shitty little hop or a set shot because my knees are so fucked.
Yep.
I hit 7 in a row and my son's looking at me. I'm like, I got it today. So if I hit those 7 in a row with you and you said, Jesus, dude, you should play in the pros. And I took you seriously.
Yeah, exactly. And you joined like a farm team somewhere or something like that. Yeah.
Or let's just say the NBA is structured completely differently and structured more like kayak bass fishing.
What's that movie about the Eagles? You know the movie I'm talking about. What the hell's the Philadelphia Eagles? And they do like a public. You wouldn't get it.
Public tryout or some shit.
Yeah. What the hell is the name of that movie? I see what you're saying though, where it's
let's say it was like
open casting call.
Yeah, let's say it was an open tournament where the pros could just take on anybody. And honestly, golf is probably the closest thing to that.
Yeah.
Because you can win your club championship and I believe continue on. But let's say it's a one-on-one thing. And I draw Michael Jordan.
The replacements.
Okay. Even old Michael Jordan. All right. Knowing what I do about basketball in the pros, what do you think my goals are going to be against Michael Jordan? If I score one basket, I'm going to feel pretty fucking good about myself. Do I think I'm going to go out and beat Michael Jordan? Because I think that sometimes people go out into tournaments after being told or getting a feeling like, hey, I'm ready for this. And they don't realize what they're up against. You know what I mean? And that was really the conversation Nate and I had on the way home from the tournament. But I don't know. All I can say is prepare, monitor what you're doing, make adjustments, monitor what's going on around you. It is so important to do that. That's really what makes a tournament fisherman, I think, in my humble opinion.
Oh, 100%. If you were competing against Michael Jordan, I have a really strong feeling that conversation might go something like this.
I'm Michael Jordan. Stop it. Get some help.
I'm saying it might go something like that. I don't 100% know.
That's if he was being kind.
That's if he was
shit
being
talking
kind.
is legendary. I would be gutted like a fish.
Well, I think he might feel, Although that was a long time ago, Michael Jordan. Nowadays it might be something completely different. Who knows? You know.
I don't know. He might be crying again. You never know. He cries a lot now. That's what happens. But you're the best basketball player of all time. You can cry whenever the fuck you want.
It's true. It's true. You've earned it. Let's get into the Jigs and Bigs tournament stuff. We'll get into there, then we'll jump into the MAKB action from over the weekend.
Yeah, we got also. This is going to be an 8-hour show today, huh? Before I do, I want to give I want to do something just real quick because you and I talked about this before. So, one thing that really everyone in this tournament needs to remember, and it's going to be different for a lot of folks, and there's a lot of people doing a great job with it, but I did have to DQ one. There is an identifier that you have to put in every photo, so that we know it's with our tournament. It's part of the rules. Again, I'm getting really sick of saying, and people are getting sick of hearing, read the rules, but I'm finding that people aren't. Like you paid money to get in this tournament, read what the rules are. So I don't DQ you and then you take, I'm not doing anything personally.
Yeah.
I wrote the rules, read them. That's the way it is. All right. I had an issue with service up in the Berkshires the other day, and my service was so spotty that I did not even get to put my identifier up on the board until 2 hours left in the MAKB tournament I was in. Thankfully, the last 2 hours, I had a bonanza that was actually multi-species. I hit a school of big fish that were smashing bait fish, and I got all sorts of predatory fish, including a state pin perch we'll get into later.
Yep.
But I did find one without an identifier that I had to DQ. I'm not going to name the person. No. I'm sure they'll learn from it. You guys got to keep this in mind. Like, I sound like an asshole and a stickler about this shit. We have standards for a reason. I'm upholding that. There's people in here that are used to standards. Fishing with standards. It's simple. I'm not asking you guys to do anything that I don't have to do myself.
At Jigs and Bigs, we've upped our standards. Up yours.
We no longer eat from the dumpster. We take the food out of the dumpster on a plate and eat it there.
And we dress up a raccoon as a little butler waiter to uncork wine bottles and such.
Yes,
we're classy homeless people. That's what it is.
Yeah,
that's how we live.
Exactly. So the way this little snafu affected me was I had a chance, and I'll never know because I don't know the times. I had a chance to be first to 100, and I didn't. I missed it because I didn't have the identifier on my board. So I had an 18 1/4 inch largemouth and I think it was 2 16-inch largemouth, not count, because I couldn't get my identifier. I could not get that up. So we have some options. I'm displaying that identifier. I couldn't get it up. Now that's a sound bite. There we go. Yeah.
Now, is the identifier, you don't program what the identifier is. It's random, right?
Completely random. Yep.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. I was like, well, if he said it, I was like, I wonder if, why did, but now that makes sense. Like if it's completely random and you're only getting it that day or once the tournament launches, then you got to figure that out in advance. Yep, you should have seen me the Saturday morning. I woke up Saturday morning. I looked at I figured this is like 4:45 in the morning, maybe 5:15. I'm brewing some coffee. I just taken the dogs out. I'm like, I got to get my identifier together. So I open up the app and I look at it and I'm like, and I'm scrambling around looking for a marker, and I'm taking like an envelope from an old piece of mail, folding that up. I'm like, this'll do. I'm like, let's just put it together for now.
People writing it on their hands, completely fine. As long as I can read it, I'm good. People have been writing it on. Rachel did a little dangerous thing from Hookset Hoodlums. She actually wrote it on a piece of tape and then put it on her bump board. You can take the chance, Rachel, of obscuring some crap on there, but she also wrote it on her hand. So I was a little worried about that, but then I saw it on her hand. I said, that's okay. So
she doubled down.
Yeah, she's hearing about this the first time right now. So
that's actually a really good idea. If you could, like I've seen some pictures from other tournaments where folks have these clips that'll go on their board and it just displays the identifier right there.
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah. It's like
we recommended, and Berkshire Brett had his out the other day at the tournament.
Yep.
Those of us military folk, when you had whether it was a security badge or an ID that you needed to display, they make these little armbands, and they're on Amazon. And you and I talked about them. There's all different kinds. If it fits around your arm, you can tighten it to fit around your board, and then just put a piece of cardstock in, write the identifier on it, and slip it right on your board. The other thing I do want to talk about too is I did find one One person that didn't have an identifier also had an incorrect measuring board. Again, these things can't be collapsible, foldable. It's got to be one solid piece, and that's in the rules.
Yeah.
I know I asked you to break the news about the rules to everybody, but I'm on fire. So
I know.
had enough coffee today. Sorry, man.
It's okay.
I'll be the villain in this. I'll be bad cop. I don't give a shit. So on to the tournament. Species are rolling in. I'm about halfway through this weekend's judging. I know more are going to come in. I'm going to judge probably every 2 or 3 days because I can't. You all right?
I'm good. I'm just stretching out my back.
Oh, you look like you're having a Zen moment there.
No.
Hey, remember that Jigs and Bigs episode where Sean was talking and Bobby came in his pants for no reason? It's on film. It's fantastic.
Practicing transcendental meditation. Give me a break.
Sure, you can call it that. So we got species flowing in. I'm gonna name off the leader. I'm not gonna name off second or third because this is so fluid. All right, we got Andrew Tomer, our very favorite hookset hoodlum. No. Do we like Bill? Do we like Bill better?
Oh, wow. That right there. Do you know how many hours of therapy that's going to cause?
Yeah, Bill's going to go berserk on Instagram. It's going to be great.
What the actual?
Yep. Andrew Tomer is winning in brown trout. Thank you, Andrew. Oh, look at this. This is brand new. Our very own Joe Brown from Old Glory has a bullhead turned in.
Oh, he's got a bullhead in there.
Yep.
Look at that.
Chain pickerel. Some fuck named Sean Dominic is winning. I don't know who that guy is. but she's got a big wiener. Crappie. Just as we just mentioned, Rachel Walker with I'm gonna put the length on this one. It's enormous. 14 and a quarter inch crappie.
That's a dinner plate. It's massive.
That's a big fucking crappie. Good job, Rachel.
Yeah.
Largemouth bass. Jeremy Andrews currently leading with a 19 incher. More on that later. Yellow perch. Again, Sean Dominic with a state pin, 14 incher. I'll get more on that one later. Rainbow trout, TJ Swaney. Oh my God. I didn't even see that. 22 inch beast. Holy shit. Smallmouth bass, Robert Valesky, 14 incher. Right now. Again, these are all unofficial. Everything since I said largemouth is unofficial. I've judged everything up to largemouth, except for Joe's bullhead. Sunfish. We got Roadkill Nick with a 9 incher right now. Good job, Nick.
Nice job.
The NE5, Jeremy Andrews with 89.5. Now, here's where following the rules kicked me in the balls. Again, because I did not have an identifier and I I couldn't submit those fish. So Jeremy Andrews is leading with 89.5. I currently am sitting in fifth place with 34.5. I caught 88 inches of bass. My best 5 bass the other day were 88 inches, right? I caught a 14-inch perch and a 19-inch pickerel for 121 inches because I didn't have my identifier on half of them because I had no signal. I couldn't submit them.
Yep.
Now, the time comes in. Did Jeremy get up to 100 inches with his other fish before I would have got to 121 because he had 103? I don't know. So Jeremy ended up getting first person to 100. So that prize is claimed, folks. Start getting on your fish, catching everything you can because you got to get up to 200. So we'll see how that goes. But that's where, again, the rules come in and making sure, you're following everything. I was not following them because I was unable to get signal because the day prior I had a bunch of shit going on that the identifier didn't publish till 7 p.m. By that point, I didn't have a chance to get it. I was out to dinner with my parents for their anniversary. Came home. Nate Shagnon crashed in my house. We did whatever prep we had, and that was it. We were out the door at 3 o'clock or what time we leave at 4 o'clock in the morning. I did not think to put that identifier on there. My other one was written down. I did not think to put that one on there. So I fucked up, and I'm paying for it. I have to adhere to the rules too, folks. What are you going to do?
It's true. And the thing is there's, there was one of the messages that had come across was about, closing the mouths of fish and there being a 1.1 inch deduction for any entries that come in where the fish's mouth is open. And the only real, I think the only real sort of like allowed permission for that is for like toothy fish when you're talking about bowfin, pickerel, things like that, like where it may be a little bit risky to try to close that fish's mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Really, it comes into the
safety.
gar. Yeah, the gar fish. So there's 3 species of gar on there. I think there's 3 or 4 species in the pike family, counting walleyes. The bowfins and the snakeheads. That stuff you can get fucked up if you put your hand near their mouth. All right, be smart about this. Like if it's open, try to do your best.
Trout have teeth and shit, but like they're not nearly as dangerous as like a bowfin's jaws, stuff like that. So
you gotta try to hurt yourself with a trout.
Yeah,
like I never thought I would say that.
It's true though,
like a pickerel, one twist. Like I almost got cut up pretty bad on that 19-incher. He fell off the board, and when I went to grab him, he turned, he zigged when I zagged, and shit almost went really, really bad.
Well, and the thing is with pickerel, and I'm not 100% sure about pike as well, but there's a coagulant in their mouths that will keep you bleeding.
Yeah.
Like
you're going to get infected pretty bad too. I've heard of bad infections from teeth getting lodged in people's skin and shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, just with fish that are known to have big teeth like that, be careful, please. Yeah. All right. I'm going to be a lot more forgiving on an open mouth with those fucking things, but then a smallmouth bass.
But it was, we had a conversation yesterday, and there was a little bit of bounce back from the, hey, I've got to deduct a point for this, because of whatever. And they're like, but this isn't a serious tournament. It's a fundraiser. It's not, this isn't that kind of thing. And it's like, but the issue that we run into is if we just allow like whatever to go on, then where's the zero marker? We have to set a line. So we're trying to hold ourselves to a standard to kind of keep things like, even though, the prizes aren't unbelievable and the entry fees aren't huge or anything, and nobody's really profiting off of this, aside from the beneficiary who we're raising funds for. Like, this is just one of those things where we have to be, we have to kind of set some sort of a standard so that this way, like a good example is like Sean not having that identifier on his stuff. He could just, if he wanted to, just say, hey, I'm going to enter all those fish because I know what it's just a fundraiser for, it's just a fundraiser tournament. It's nothing serious. So I'm going to enter these fish. So we have to kind of like follow those in there. It's not to be hard asses or anything like that. It's just like, we want to kind of, if we want to have legitimacy moving forward, we need to be legitimate from the get.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are prizes involved. And if somebody's fucking around and screwing around with the rules, that's going to bump prizes around. Yeah. Like somebody might get screwed out of a prize because someone else is not adhering to the rules and I'm not holding them to it. And, I had sent you a couple of things that I saw yesterday and said, man, I'm seeing some things here. And I did have to DQ a fish. And you're like, dude, you're the director.
Yeah.
Your word stands, do your thing. And I simply sent back, thank you for having my 6. So this is, I hate to be the villain on this, but we have standards.
Yeah.
We have standards. So please meet them. Thank you. I don't know. We got anything else to cover on that? I mean, it's just a start, but it's been a phenomenal weekend. We got a lot of fishing already. I
mean, there's like, I looked up this morning at Fishing Chaos, and I'll tell you a couple of things that I do like about the Fishing Chaos app. I've got situations that I don't love. Like so I love right off the top when you look at it, you can see the number of anglers that are in there, but you can also see the number of entries. So it's basically right now, like almost every single angler that's in there put into fish. It's not actually like that because yours truly has nothing entered in there. And I know of many others that are in here who have nothing entered at all. We'll talk about that in a moment. But it's just cool that you can see like that number of like, hey, this is how many fish have been entered already. This is cool, and we started on the 8th. It's been 2 days.
Yeah, we're up to 70. And since we started recording, we got another entrant. So we did decide to leave that open the whole time because this is for charity. I know we talked about it a couple shows ago that I was real hard ass about 1 week. No, you're right. We need to keep this open the whole time. I'll deal with it. It's not a big deal because this is for charity. The more people that come in, the better off Make Mess Fishing Spots Great Again is going to be with materials that we buy them. So fuck it. Come on in, folks.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. So we have that happen, and that's, I haven't had the luxury, if you will, of entering in a fish in Fishing Chaos, but I will tell you that I do, like, it makes me feel really good knowing I don't even have to touch the app. I can hit the camera icon on my phone, snag the pictures I need, and then just let it go. And like, that's great because then I can go and do my uploads, at breakfast or whatever. And, it's a good thing. It's a very, very good thing.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. Thank you for reminding me. So, like, with those fish that I uploaded, if anybody wants to look at let me see where we got them. So I think we can look at the fish I uploaded. So let's look at this pickerel. I actually had no signal.
Yep.
Right? And I ended up uploading my fish. If I can see it. I don't know if I can see it here. See, I can see it as a director. Let me see what manage entry. Do you have a manage entry button on yours?
I haven't entered a fish yet, so I don't think I can look at any of my entries.
Okay, so I'm looking at mine. I'm looking at my pickerel that I turned in, right? And it gives me a latitude and longitude of where I turned it in. I'm pretty sure that's the Applebee's in Holyoke because that's where I found signal.
Yep.
I obviously did not catch a 19-inch chain pickerel at Applebee's in Holyoke. Well, but the photo data, I can see where I caught it and where I submitted it.
Yeah.
So that's how it goes. So I know Rodney had asked me the other day while I was on the water, like, how can you tell if I'm fishing a public or private pond? And I said, well, it's on the honor system, but I can see where you caught the fish and I can see where you turned it in. For the most part, it's not perfect, but I'm on top of it. So, don't fish. This isn't $1,000 tournament. That's where it is. Keep this, in perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a private pond in my backyard. I'm not fishing it. There's big bass in there. I don't fish it for tournaments. I've actually fished it twice in the past 2 years because I'm fishing tournaments so often. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Just a matter of integrity. So we're not giving away thousands of dollars. There's going to be some gear, but we don't even know what it is yet.
Yeah. There's going to be some great gear coming in, and that which is awesome. By the way, this was something I was concerned with and again, like with this tournament and moving forward with Jigs and Bigs tournaments, we will be using Fishing Chaos. But for us, this first tournament is a big, learning. This is a big learning step for us as far as how things work. I was not sure how the payout was going to go for funds if we had to wait until the tournament was over and everything gets paid out and then we can handle everything. We don't. The deposits have already been made so far, and actually there have been multiple as people have joined late. So the deposits have been made. So this is great because, one, it allows us to keep a good, sharp look at what we have to apply toward prizes. Because, again, the more people that we have entering in the tournament, the bigger and better those prize packs can be. But it also lets us know what the donation is like and gives us a rough idea to say, like, okay, so this is what we've earned for our beneficiary for this tournament, for Make Mass Fishing Spots Great Again. They've got X amount, get some people to sign up. We'll do some more, we can add to that. So we're at 38 anglers right now. I'm really excited with that. I'd love to get that number up to north of 50. I know, initially I said I'd love to do a couple hundred. I think we're going to get there eventually, but it's all about the process. We just want to make sure that people have a great time. But again, we have to have that standard for tournament rules. And, if people aren't, into them and they're just like, oh, I'm not going to do this or something like that, I feel bad that that's the case, but we have to have at least like a set point where the rules are the rules, and that's the way that they are, because it's what's better for the majority versus better for a few.
Yeah, exactly.
The needs of many outweigh the needs of a few.
With great power comes great responsibility. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man said that. Bet you had no idea.
There was a very similar line that Yoda said.
Something about seagulls.
Yeah, that's right. Penny for your thoughts.
Oh, boy. So we got anything else to cover on ours? I mean, it's an ongoing thing, and we're kicking ass. We're having a good time, I think. Shall I jump into more tournament stuff?
Jump in. Actually, do you want to cover the MAKB stuff?
I would love to.
Let's do that. Let's jump into that.
This past weekend, we had our second trail stop. It was a split lake event. Now, I split those lakes geographically. There are two lakes right next to each other, way up in the mountains of Beckett in Mass.
Yep. And
we used Buckley Dunton Reservoir, which is like just paved with stumps. There's so many stumps in there. And then we also used Yoakum Pond, which is smaller. It's more like a kettle pond, but there's smallmouth in there too. I did a random draw on Friday night. If anyone saw the video, I just like to take the time right now to address anyone's concerns. I do not have a cocaine problem. I've never done coke in my life. I mowed the lawn before I recorded that video. Did you watch that video?
I did not watch that video.
Hi, this is Sean. Hi, this is Sean. I got to pick numbers and names. I went into the bathroom when I was done, and my wife's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I looked like Snots the dog from National Lampoon.
Yes,
you know what I mean? I just my face was covered. It was so disgusting. And I just jumped in the shower and scrubbed my face because I had snots everywhere. So thank you for all your concern. I do not have a drug problem.
That's amazing.
So we did the pick. We had 12 anglers. I split them 7 and 5 to give everyone more room. There was some concern over Yoakum from the get-go.
Yeah.
You fish there with me. It can be a finicky pond, but it's risk and reward, man. There's big
good
fish in there.
Yeah. Every time I've fished there, I have caught fish, and I have seen so much activity. And like, we've caught fish over there, like mega species.
Yeah, they're all over the place. I got a bullhead on a Ned rig one day.
I remember that. That's exactly what I was noting about. That was amazing.
Yeah, so they're in there, and honestly, my prediction, because I had pre-fished both in the week prior, and fished with John at Yoakum a couple times, and Yoakum was hot, and I went to Buckley Dunton and I caught a pickerel twice. I'm like, oh man. So my prediction was, out of the top 3 finishers, because with 12 people in 3 spots pay out, plus the pickerel lunker, plus the largemouth lunker, my prediction was 2 of the top 3 spots were going to come from Buckley Dunton, or come from Yoakum, and 1 plus the lunker. I thought the biggest bass was going to come out of Buckley Dunton.
Yeah.
I was right on that, but 2 of the top 3 spots came out of Buckley Dunton and 1 came out of Yoakum. So I was a little bit off. What ended up happening was very similar to Quabog. Cold day. Wasn't so windy, but it was cloudy. We got some rain at times. And myself and Jeremy Andrews had a good day, and the rest of the field struggled. And then over on Yoakum, Nelson and Nate Shagnon had decent days for what it was worth. Neither of them hit limits. Jeremy and I hit limits. Jeremy got the lunker largemouth. I got the lunker pickerel. Jeremy cracked 90 inches. I was just right behind him. I didn't make it. So Jeremy won first place, got the lunker largemouth. I got second place, lunker pickerel. Nelson took third, and Nate was right behind him and right behind me on the lunker pickerel. It was a rough day of fishing. What are you going to do? Yeah. Two people hit fish, and that was it. The first half of my day I spent throwing jigs around and got a limit, got over 80 inches. And the second half of my day, I don't even say the second, the last 2 hours, I found a ball of bait fish. I mentioned it earlier, surrounded by predatory fish. In an hour, I caught 12.5 perch, and the smallest was like 12 or 13 inches. It was all big perch that were spawned out trying to feed.
Yep.
And I wanted to make mention of this. I've only seen this once or twice in my life, where there's a niche time that things seem to have to line up right, where the perch are done spawning, the bass are in pre-spawn, the big bass haven't started spawning yet, and they run together killing bait fish. So you'll catch a school of perch with big largemouth mixed in, and they're not going after the perch because the perch are big.
Yeah.
So they're going after the minnows. It was shiners in this case. It was a gigantic school of shiners that were just over the one weed bed that I found that was still growing. And there were just big fish surrounding them, perch, bass, and pickerel. That's where I caught the pickerel, 2 of my 18-inch largemouth, and that gigantic 14-inch perch, which is my PB and got me a state pin. So
that's so cool, man.
It was huge. I was like, all right, I'm cool with this. So we're going to see how that goes. Now,
are you going to do a replica with that?
No. I keep records for all my PBs, and I'm not going to do any replicas. I'm actually probably going to take the pictures of the fish and see how I try my hand at drawing them out life size.
Oh, there you go, man. That's cool.
Which I can do. I can always replicate a picture. Some of my original artwork over the years I've had problems with either not being able to finish it off in a certain way or whatever, something.
Copyright, pornography laws. I get it.
Yeah,
I know how
I'm not
it
a
is
professional artist. You know what I mean? I'm good, but I'm not.
His primary medium is travel vans and murals along them, like wizards, things like that.
Wizards riding white tigers, fighting dragons.
Yep.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
I draw an excellent sword. So
he does.
Gross. So that tournament went good. I did have some feedback from it. So what I've done going forward for anybody who's fishing with MAKB and listening on the western side of the state, and I think it was Ken's idea. I can't steal credit for that. Ken had said, look, there were some issues with people not wanting to fish Yoakum, which I actually got stuck at Buckley and made the best of it. I actually wanted to fish Yoakum based on the past 2 weeks. What we're going to do is, great point and plug for the next week. We're fishing, and I'm going to fuck this pronunciation up, East and West Washakum Ponds. It looks like Washakum, but it's Washakum is how it's pronounced.
It is Washakum? I thought it was Wahaukum.
Washakum, yeah. No, that's what I've heard the locals call it. So Washakum.
Washakum.
So instead of randomly assigning, look at that. You got a shimmy going on. All right, I like that
shimmy. Yeah,
shimmy. You came in your pants and you shimmied in the same show. This is
shimmying like a happy Cinco de Mayo.
I know we couldn't let that go either.
No.
With this upcoming ponds, what I'm restricted to is West Washakum Pond has parking a little bit away from the launch. The launch is just a car top launch. It's not like paved fucking ramp.
Yep.
There's a rail trail. So for anybody who doesn't know what a rail trail is, a lot of the old railroad lines have been converted in New England to be bike and walking paths, but they have parking lots alongside of them at some places. So the parking for the western pond is there. The eastern is a different beast because there's a town lot with a beach that's for residents. So I had to deal with the town admin, which were phenomenal. And I got 13 parking passes. So when anybody signs up for this event, they're allowed to choose east or west, but you got to realize I only have so many parking spots for the east. That's really my restriction. So we're going to do that. I'm going to let anglers choose. They can pick whichever one they want, but realize there's only so many slots. So if you want to fish it, we have, I think, 9 people in because there is a competing event with the eastern side this week. The Eastern MAKB division is running their second trail stop. So they'll be doing their thing. And if there's, you can't make the eastern one if it fills up too quick.
Yeah.
We're going to be in Central Mass, basically, is where Sterling is. It's right near Worcester. Join us, but just realize if you want a parking spot and you want to fish that eastern pond, I only have 13 parking passes. Whereas the western side is a smaller pond. We're limiting the total number to 20.
Yeah.
So 7 people will fish over there. And I think there's another pond adjacent to that you can fish with it, but you have to launch from the same spot. I'm fishing the east. Nelson's fishing the west. He wanted, to choose this time because he did get Yoakum and wasn't, he always makes the best out of it, but I could tell he was hoping for Buckley done.
He was looking for Buckley.
Yeah. So,
well, and that's the thing. You've got to go and do. Did you guys do the drawing as part of everybody's drawing, or did you do a separate director's drawing?
Oh, I do. Nelson and I went first. So I picked my name first and BDR came up. Buckley Dunn came up. So that meant Nelson was automatically to Yoakum.
Gotcha.
You can watch a video of me sniffling and drooling snots through it. It's fantastic. Yeah. I mowed my lawn.
I cut my grass this weekend too. It wasn't nearly that bad.
Dude, that fucking, whatever that yellow pollen is, I have 2 of the trees in my yard. I like my trees, so I'm not cutting them down.
It's like crack.
But that shit is awful. Out in New England, I don't know what they are. Are they maples that do that shit?
The yellow, I'm not sure. If
whatever that fucking yellow pollen comes from, it's like a
yellow
blanket.
Cocaine.
Yeah, it's awful.
Covers
it gets
everything.
in me and it snots magoo. Yeah, so we're gonna do that. We've got people are signing up. It's open until Friday. Jump in if you're looking to get in. It's a smaller number of people, so if you're already fishing the jigs and bigs and the chronic trips and you want to take that next step,
it's a great way to do it.
Yeah, it's smaller pond, Central Mass. If you're in Central Mass and you're familiar with it and you're thinking about it, I had heard, I'm going to put him on the spot here. I had heard some rumblings that Gravy Fishing was thinking about it. So, Eric, if you're in, give me a call. If you want more details, I'm happy to talk about it. So that's that. The last week for the tournament, last week, 2 days ago, we had a limit of 20 up in Beckett. Now, first off, I want to thank their harbor master and their police department. I worked with them to get the parking set up, and it was super smooth. Those guys were great. Buckley Dutton has great parking. Yoakum has some questionable parking, but they were very good about where they allowed us to put cars. So thank you guys. It was awesome working with you, and I know they're probably not going to listen to this, but I'll thank them in an email. As far as the town of Sterling, their town admin has been great. Their Parks and Rec has been great. Thank you guys. I've worked with a woman named Cheryl. Cheryl's been fantastic. Last week, we actually had a reduced number because of scheduling conflict. The EKF regional schedule came out a little late, and it was scheduled for Saturday at Cayuga Lake in New York. So there were a lot of members of the Eastern Division and some members of the Western Division that went out there, and they fucking cleaned up.
Yeah,
they cleaned up, dude. That was a big tournament on Big Lake, and the big fish were biting. So I think the top 10 all cracked 90 inches. That's amazing in a tournament.
Derek over at Three Bells was giving me some of the breakdown of some of the fish that were coming in, and like, I mean, he's like, some of these are the smaller ones. You know, I mean, just like
it was insane.
Yeah, bananas, man.
I just checked the comments. Getting back to the trees, Steve, my former boss at in a former life, who I go to lunch with every now and again, says probably oak. Probably is, Steve. I don't know. It kicks my ass every year. He used to watch me and go like, "Are you okay at work?" And I've got Kleenexes jammed in my face. I'm like, no, I'm not okay. But I don't take anything for it. So.
You know what? Oh, see, that's no good. See, I'm Zyrtec like till I die. I love Zyrtec. It works for me. It doesn't knock me out, but like it's got its limits. And when I'm out like doing yard work, especially, you know, this time of year where you got that yellow pollen, or in the fall when the ragweed hits, then it gets really bad. But often what I found, you know what works really great? Standard like mask that everybody's got to wear in public places for anything anyway. Like a lifesaver. I've thrown one of those on to do yard work, and I'm just like, wow, this is way better. You know, keep the sunglasses on and let it rip.
I wear that too, but it's just, you know, that's one of the things, like with all the shit that's gone on with COVID.
Yep.
This is the first year in my entire life I don't remember getting a cold. I didn't get a cold this year.
A cold, or yeah, exactly.
So, or the flu. I mean, I get the flu shot anyways, but like that makes you think. It really makes you think, like, you know, it's been an inconvenience for everyone. The masks. I didn't get a cold this year. I was pretty fucking happy.
It's kind of nice. Yeah. Usually every year there's 1 to 2 weeks every winter where my voice at trivia, it's a workout. Like I'll go through half a pack of, like, you know, those lozenges, the Fisherman's Friends.
Oh, I love those. Oh my God, they're the best.
They taste awful, but they work so well. You know what I mean? Yep. I will go through so many of those just to get a whole trivia game out. In the break, I'll keep one like tucked in the back of my mouth, like, and I'm like, holy crap. As soon as they're gone, I'm immediately like, I sound ridiculous. There's this golden window where that, like, I have a chest cold where my voice is like $1 million. It's like amazing. And then it just goes to shit after that. And this year I didn't have to deal with that at all. And I'm like, it probably has a lot to do with the mask and the hand sanitizer, you know?
Yeah. You had one podcast where you were sniffling real bad and you were clogged up, and that was
barely it. Yeah. That was like nothing. It's like, but when I get into trivia, I can tell, like, if that, you know, Sunday or Monday event comes and I'm like, oh man, by Friday, it's like, it's bad. It's rough. I've never canceled because of it. I'm like, I'll muscle my way through one way or the other. Spend the breaks like clearing out every single passage possible, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm snots magoo when I get this shit. It's awful. Yeah. But jumping from my snots back to Cayuga.
Grossest podcast ever.
I know. I just want to give credit for the first and second place finishers, and I didn't write down anybody else, but we know them. One we've had on the show. Mm-hmm. First place, Joe DiDeo, member of the Three Bells fishing team. We've mentioned Joe before. He fishes with the Western Division. We'll see him this weekend at Washakum. So congrats, Joe. Great job. That was a loaded field, and you really kicked ass. Second place, right behind him. I want to say it was within an inch or two. Jason Gardner.
Nice job, Maine. Jason. Maniac anglers in the house.
Yep. And the third person I want to mention that said I think his personal best 3 times over during this tournament. We mentioned him a couple weeks ago for his birthday. Ari Stonehill. Great job, Ari. You guys all kicked ass out there. Everybody had a great day. There was a ton of big fish. I don't know how many fish over 20 inches were caught, but it was just like every time I kept getting signal and they would pop up, I'm like, another one. It was just nuts.
DJ Khaled, another one.
Yeah, and another one. So yeah, that was good. We were okay to fish a smaller couple bodies of water with diminished populations because a lot of our people were out in the regional circuit doing their thing. Shit happens, man. So yeah, last thing I want to say. If you're interested, we'll shake them. We have spots open. Just try to get in quick for the parking issues, okay?
Yep.
I want to give a quick shout out real quick.
Fire away. Yes.
My new friend Ty.
What's up, Ty?
Ty dropped off my ladder rack on Friday. Ty's
a hero.
Ty is a hero. I looked at or he came in. Yes, exactly. Ty came in, said, wow, that's a great boat. Started talking about the kayak. He walked out. He walked back to the truck with a sticker and said he would start listening to the podcast. So I hope he's listening now. Ty, thank you. And actually, while we were talking about 20 minutes ago, I don't know if I got something dropped off now, but he pulled away. So,
oh, no kidding.
Ty's my guy. Apparently, I'm his route. We're good shit.
Sweet.
Yeah. You know what I did get in the mail yesterday?
What's that?
This is big. Did I tell you what I went to Richard's Sporting Goods and picked up the other day?
I
would have gone to Old Glory, but it's not something they carry.
Yeah, I don't think you did. What'd you order?
2.7. No, I didn't pay. I ordered something different, but it accompanies what I bought at Richard's.
Oh, okay.
I bought 2 7'6" inshore rods just for the trifecta.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then I ordered 2 inshore reels. Yep. Joe knows, and he's going to yell at me for this if he's listening, but he knows I'm particular about my spinning reels. So I buy cheap Chinese ones off Amazon.
Yep.
And I got 2 all aluminum inshore reels from a brand I like for $30 each.
No kidding.
Yeah, that shitty Chinese brand. I love it. Oh. So I got those in. I got my inshore rods. I am ready to ocean fish. Kick ass.
That's awesome, man. You're gonna get some freaking. You're gonna put the hammer down on some saltwater species.
One fish. That's all I want. I don't care if it's a schoolie striper that I can't even keep. One fish. That's my goal. Because I don't fish saltwater, so I'm learning. One fish.
When you're in the saltwater tournaments, the CPR tournaments, do you have to release all your catches, or if you catch something that's keepable, can you keep that and throw it on the grill?
That's a very good question. I think it's supposed to be CPR. Just like this weekend, I was so upset that I didn't bring. I had 2 little collapsible cooler grocery bags, the ones that are foil lined.
Yep.
I bought 2 of those a couple weeks ago because John and I went out to Yoakum and kept a bunch of the fish we kept there. We caught there. And there's a Big Y regional supermarket that is right down the road from Yoakum and Dunn. Stopped right there, got a couple of their bags, threw the fish in there, threw the ice in. I didn't bring them. I would have kept that for the perch. Definitely. I love eating yellow perch, and I caught a school of the biggest ones I've ever caught and couldn't keep them.
In a great body of water too, by the way. Like clean, an amazing body of water that's unbelievably clean and that talk about a missed opportunity, man.
Yeah, it's all right. I know they're in there now. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You got a bunch of stuff to talk about.
I got a number of things to talk about. So my week that I have gone through so far, on the fishing end of things, not amazing. I mean, I had gone out. I actually this week I did not get out a ton and do much fishing, but lots of progress has been made. I finally picked up the trailer kit to get that assembled. Went through the registration materials to make sure all that's together. I got to get that ball rolling because I'm not 100% sure on the timeliness of getting that registration complete, or I haven't really had to work with the DMV during the COVID era. So I'm not 100% sure how a brand new registration is going to go as far as getting it turned around. So there's that. I got to build this sucker. I'm still toying around with plans for ultimately what it's going to become, but really it's going to be the kit will be assembled and I'll use it as the skeleton until I figure out exactly what we're going to do. So that's on the plate for this week, getting that done. Plan is to get out and fish on Thursday. I'm looking forward to go out and fish again with Chris Tabari. That's the plan. Yep. And then on Saturday, I have a crazy day. Actually, while we were recording this, I had the director of the campground where I'm hosting a game show call and leave a voicemail. So I have to contact with her. But I'm doing a game show on Saturday night. So I'm possibly looking to fish in Connecticut and just spend the day mostly there. That's sort of the idea is kind of what I'm looking at doing. But I'm going to get out on Saturday and do some fishing. So let's talk about my experience fishing this week. Caught a small 11-inch largemouth, but what I think is more, I guess really kind of like more the focus here is that when I woke up on Saturday morning, my plan was first get the identifier, straightened out, put a piece of paper with that identifier in my pocket so it was ready to go. Gather everything together that I was planning on throwing. So I had, a combo that was for, more search baits like treble hooks, jerk baits and lipless cranks and that kind of stuff. I had another rod rigged up with a jig that was my medium heavy rod. And then I had a finesse combo with me, but the other thing I brought with me was a medium heavy spinning combo with 30-pound braid and a 17-pound fluoro leader on it. And what I did with that was I left a big honking circle hook, because if I was able to catch any panfish that were too small to be entered in the tournament, they were going out for catfish. They were going to be my bait for catfish. So that was my plan going on. Did not happen, sadly. And I woke up that morning and I looked at the results when I went to go get the identifier, and I saw that Albert had put a what is it, an 18 and a half or an 18 and a quarter on the board first thing Saturday morning. So I'm like, okay. Largemouth is, I know that's primarily what I target, and catching largemouth is one thing, but my mission was to go out and look for those other species. And then I'm out fishing with that jerkbait that, we got to pour a little bit out for, and I hook into a Larry, an LMB. And nice. I'm like, all right, sweet. And sadly had a photo mishap while trying to balance my board on a rock and put him in the spot. He just flopped around on the board, flopped on, hit the ground, and right back in the water. So I was able to log him for my own data as far as what I caught him on and the conditions and all that stuff, but did not do any good. And then I realized I was like, 11-inch bass are like, they're like the freaking Egg McMuffin of the breakfast family. Like they're every, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I can catch those, I wasn't even targeting that fish. I was able to, you know what I'm saying? It's all good. My goal ultimately was, we started at this one spillway, and I know that it's rich in different species. And that was sort of my goal, was to get out there. But I definitely plan on doing some simultaneous fishing for multiple species, dropping a rig for carp or dropping a rig for catfish, something that's a little bit more stationary, and letting it sit while I work one section. If that's not working, I'll move on and try something else. So just a little bit of strategy, we'll see what we can put together.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Hey, it sounds like you got a plan.
Yeah.
It sucks that I know it is the fast food of fish.
It really is.
The 11-inch nibbler should not be underestimated. You never know what a nibbler can do.
And that was the whole thing. That's what I was thinking of. And I was giving a little bit of a lesson to Paul, because he was like, "What's that paper?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's the identifier. It's got to be in the picture to basically signify that this fish is entered in this tournament." So it's like it's sort of just to allow like the judges to know like that this is a contemporary photo, that it was taken within this window of time. So that's the idea. That's what it does. Yep. And as I'm saying this, little son of a bitch just flops right off the board, and I just could not grab him fast enough. I'm like, oh well. There will be another one. And my initial thought was, I was like, when I get this, I like the fact that I can think about it. Grab the picture, do the release, but then take a minute to think about, where am I going to put this? Do I want to enter it in the NE5 just to get that started? Because, 11-inch bass, I'm probably going to go up from there. And we had a conversation, actually, Chris Tabari and I, a quick one, questioning how it works for auto culling and everything else. Like he mentioned, does he have to wait till he gets like the one to go and enter it? And that's a tall order, because like you never know when the one's going to hit. You're kind of hedging your bets a little bit that way. So after talking with Sean, a lot of this auto culls. So if you enter a fish, it will automatically keep the larger one.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing we got to make clear, like that fish can only be entered once. So if you enter it once into the NE5 category, right? And then it gets culled out of that, it can't go into it can't go back into largemouth. It's gone. It's a one-shot deal. That's why this strategy is so important for this tournament.
Even a little bit more common. Let me give you a scenario. Let's say I entered that 11-inch monster into largemouth. Let's say I entered it into largemouth, and then I caught a 17, and And I'm like, okay, so that's I'm gonna upgrade there. So I enter that 17. That 11 is essentially dead. I can't use that photo in the NE5 and say like, well, I can go ahead and use this and enter it here. You know, it gets down to like, and Sean had explained, it's like it gets down to who's the better fisherman overall. Like that's really what it gets down to. So you can't really, you get one shot with each catch where you're going to place it. You can always upgrade those, you know, but you can't take them out of a group and then move them to another one. It's, you know, it's one and done.
Yeah. So if somebody, I think the example I gave was with largemouth. There's quite a few good largemouth fishermen in here, right?
Yep.
In this tournament. So if a guy is catching, particularly this time of year, 5, 6, 20-inch largemouth, right? Yeah. Sure, he can fill up his NE5 with 20-inch largemouth and then have one winning that category in largemouth. So he's got his fish there. 20-inch largemouth aren't going to survive in the NE5.
Yeah.
Okay. So he now has a choice to make, like I did last year with pickerel and striped bass. I caught a pickerel that was 25 inches, 25 and a half, and put it in the pickerel category. But then later I caught a 26. Mm-hmm. So my choice was, do I want to kill that 25.5 because I don't know what's coming? I had a striper trip and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get stripers. So what I did was I gambled that the 25.5 would live in the pickerel category, and it did. Then I put the 26 in the NE5. So technically the biggest pickerel of the tournament was caught, but not even in the pickerel category. It was in the NE5. And that thing actually did survive because out of all the stripers I caught, only 4 were bigger. So I had 4 stripers and that pickerel. Yeah. So they counted. It helped to my total.
Yeah.
But if it was largemouth, like I'm saying, let's say you catch a 20-inch largemouth and nobody's within 2-3 inches. You going to let that ride? I would not. I think with the southern anglers we have in this, 21, 22, that's where I'd be comfortable with.
Yeah.
And then you think you're going to get points out of it. You know what I mean? If you throw the rest of them in the NE5, that's fine for a start, but realize they're going to get called. And if you catch a 22 and put that in the NE5, it's not coming back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the judgment I made last year was similar, where I said that I think I'm going to ride that 25.5, and I did, and I got lucky. But if I was going to ride a 20-inch bass, I'd be biting my fingernails.
It could be tough. It could definitely be tough. So you got to make that judgment call, like what's the best situation for me to place this fish in and let it go. So that's something that's really nice about using the Fishing Chaos app is you get the picture, you know, all that stuff's good. You know what's on your camera roll. You're good to go. You can continue fishing and keep this in your mind and figure out like, what am I going to do with that one pickerel? What am I going to do with that, you know, that one fish? Like what is more important to me to fill that NE5? Or what's more likely in some cases? What's the more likely situation where this might get beat, you know?
There is one thing I do want to accentuate, and I think we could probably wrap for this week on the Jigs and Bigs tourney.
Yep.
The Jigs and Bigs tourney. With the signal issues. If you don't have signal, take a picture of the fish, make sure your identifier's in it, make sure the mouth is closed, make sure you're doing your thing.
Yep.
If you have signal, please submit it then and there. If you don't, it's okay.
Yeah.
But don't sandbags. The sandbagging is, oh, hey, look at me. I'm in 0th place. I'm the worst. I'm in 37th place. And then the last day of tournament, uploading all your shit. That's what's going to piss me off.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to look at the dates on those photos. I'm going to go, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's not illegal, but there's some etiquette there. And that's nobody likes a sandbagger. That's bullshit. So don't do it.
I mean, really, not only that, but it does make a ton of work for you because now you have to go back and verify a lot of that. And let's be honest, that's, if nothing else, it's only going to delay the end results.
Everybody's going to be fucking pissed off.
Everybody's going to be pissed.
Sandbaggers.
Yeah, because it's going to take forever to get through.
If let's put it this way, I have zero problems outing sandbaggers because if I see a fish that was caught on the 14th of May and turned in on the 7th of June, you're telling me you had no reliable Wi-Fi service in that time frame? Come on. Who the fuck does that? You know, that's some sandbagging shit. That's what is that? I don't even think that's some chickabee shit. Chickabee shit's better than that. Sandbagging shit's worse.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Hey, how was your Mother's Day? How was your wife's Mother's Day is probably the better question.
I would say it was pretty good. I think she had a nice, enjoyable day. Although she did have to go. She got called into work. She had to go and do COVID tests at work. Yeah, so that kind of sucked. Not Not exactly a good time for her, but you know, I mean, she had a good Mother's Day. Went over to my sister's house and had dinner with my folks over there last night. So that was a good time. You know, it was good. It was Mother's Day was a damn good time, I would say.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. And what did we do Saturday night? Oh, Saturday night was great. So after I was done fishing, I got home and hung out with the family for a little bit, and then my kids were doing a thing at their dance studio, some type of a rehearsal or something, and my wife and I had plans to go and visit some friends who had just built a new house, nice place, and they were having their official housewarming party, and it was a real small group of people that had gotten together, and Junior Brown was the musical entertainment on my buddy John's back deck. Like, it was pretty amazing. So we had a great time. You know, of course, like most of these events, it's all like BYOB. So as we're on our way to go pick up the kids from the dance studio to head over to this event, I had to stop by a good old fashioned Packy and get some libations for the wife and I, and she made a suggestion. Now here's some Chicopee shit right there. Sean, you're a Chicopee native, as am I. Aldenville Liquors.
Ooh,
you know the spot, right?
I'm well aware.
You're well aware. Okay. Many a time was a young Bobby roast beef sitting in the passenger seat of my father's truck while he would run into this store and grab a sixer after work or whatever. And like, so I'm very familiar with this one package store. I go in and my wife says to me, she's like, what do you think you want to drink tonight? You know, she's like, should we bring, you know, we put together a little basket of spirits that I think will be very popular with the new homeowners. So we put this together for them, had all that all set. You know, I'm like, I think I just wanted to have a few beers. You know, we'll see. I'll pop in. She goes, well, there's a craft beer sign at Aldenville Liquors, to which I gave a good laugh. And I said, ha, 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 ha. Shock Top is not a craft beer, is what I said to her. However, we get there and I stumbled onto like a diamond in the rough. I'm not saying that the craft beer selection is fantastic. They carry a bunch of locally made beers, which is awesome. That's great. But what I found in there was this beer from a local brewery called Berkshire Brewing Company, and it's called Jalapeno. Jalapeno is there's an IPA that they do called Inhopnito. And what they did was they made that same recipe, but they added a bunch of pureed pineapple and fresh jalapeno.
Wow.
And a lot of people think like, oh, it's a spicy beer. It is not a spicy beer. And I'm the guy. I know, and I enjoy all things spicy. Like, you know what I mean? This is not, there's very little heat, if any at all. But have you ever had a fresh jalapeno that was a little more on the mild side? Because jalapenos are unbelievably inconsistent with heat levels. They can be anywhere within this big spectrum. They're very inconsistent.
You know, just because you mentioned that, I had some from Big Y years ago, and Nelson likes hot shit, and he and I were both crying. Like, I was expected to cry because of, like, just everything fucking getting flooded out of you.
Yep.
Like, making your eyes water cry. He was like, "What the? Where'd you get these fucking things? They're like Chernobyl. Were they growing in the soil there? What the fuck?" Yeah, you're right.
So I found the last 2 4-pack boxes of Inhopnito. I'm sorry, not Inhopnito, Jalapeno. And one of them is in my refrigerator right now, sitting. One of those cans is earmarked for a pork shoulder because yes, I'll be injecting that sucker like a son of a bitch. It's going to be delicious. The other 3 I'll drink on special occasions. But I killed one of these 4-packs over at this party, sitting there listening to Junior Brown. And if you probably saw my story hanging out by the little campfire and just doing my thing. I was like, it was so much fun and it was great. I got to see a lot of people I haven't seen. If you remember the trip I took to Vermont last fall, we did a little family vacation around the 4th of July. This was that whole circle of people that we had gone with.
Awesome.
Was for that. And it was great. We had such a good time. So that was a whole lot of fun. I mean, it was just a good weekend just in general, you know. I had a blast. I think the weather could have been much worse. You know, it definitely didn't feel like May. It was a little on the cool side, but you know, It's just a weird weather year.
I managed to actually surprise my wife with her Mother's Day gift.
Really?
Which doesn't happen because she's like the CFO of the household. So
she knows exactly what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing she can't see is my PayPal account.
Oh, there you go.
So it is tied to our bank account. You know what I mean? Like, but if I get money in there from winning a tournament, let's say, at Quabog, let's say, and it's a decent amount of money, I set aside enough for a day spa day package. So she can go for a whole day at a place she loves to go to.
Yep.
And here's where the drama came in.
Oh, there's drama?
I had to take my PayPal and send it to my mother so that my wife didn't see this and say, can you get this transferred to your bank and then give me the money? And she's like, why? And I explained it's a surprise.
You're like, we're laundering. I'm buying a house in the Ozarks.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. I have a coke problem. I record videos on Facebook when I'm doing it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I did that. And my mom is definitely the more technologically advanced of my parents. That does not mean there were not problems.
It goes along the way. Dude, you should have just had me do it.
I know. And my sister, when I told my wife about this, eventually, because the surprise was like, how did you do this? I'm like, I told her. My sister's another one I could have used.
Yep.
I could have fired it that way, and that probably would have been smarter. No, I used my parents, and a 3-day procedure took about a week and a half. But we got it taken care of. I did it with enough time. So then I went and got the spa package. And what we did was my wife likes certain foods. So I told my oldest son, I'm like, run downstairs while I was cooking breakfast for the wife. Run downstairs, get one of the Easter baskets. I couldn't think of anything else. I wasn't going to use a fucking gift bag.
Yeah.
I said, go get the Easter baskets and put the fucking green shit in there at the bottom, the plastic
fake grass
ribbons. Yeah, the fake grass. And, there's a certain kind of popcorn she likes. I got her a bag of that. I think she posted up on Instagram. And then she likes Reese's peanut butter cups. So I got her some of those. And then
Who doesn't?
She likes this. What's that brand? Remember, what was that shit I bought for you guys? The that condiment brand.
The Stonewall Kitchen?
Yes. So there's a certain kind of aioli she likes. I got her that. Then the card with the we all got our cards, and then the gift card. So she was very, very happy. She got a nice breakfast cooked, and then we detailed her car. That's what we do every year.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you? Oh, yeah, you guys did it yourself, or did you go and?
Yeah. Oh no, we did it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. I had to put my military hat back on and start yelling at 2 preteens, like, do this, do that, get your shit done. But it was all good. We got it done. She's very happy with her car. It was all good day. And then we went to dinner at my parents' house. It was excellent. So that was my Mother's Day.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
What happened with you and Big Nasty? I heard you guys had a conversation you were talking about.
So Big Nasty and I, after that interview, he and I have gone back and forth, having some good conversation back and forth, and he sent over some pics of a bunch of bass that he had caught. Where is it?
While you're looking, did you see what he posted today? He got a walleye on the fly.
I saw that. That's crazy, man.
That's awesome. Is he in the tournament? I can't remember.
I don't know that he's in the tournament. I'll have to double check.
Real shame. That's 4 points off the board.
That would be, because there's not a whole lot of people out getting walleye,
No, that's walleye have been really, really tough to catch, especially out here.
Yeah, it's definitely true. No, he had posted a bunch of decent fish, like small largemouth and stuff. And I said something to the effect where, let me check his story. Maybe he posted it in his story. Yeah, he may have.
Dum, 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 dum.
I think it was Saturday that he posted it. Yeah, I think it was Saturday. But it was funny. He was just like, he's like, it's crazy. I catch these tiny little dinks, and I told him something to the effect of, I was like, the thing is with catching small fish, especially bass, like I look at it like this. I just caught a huge bass, like a few years too early. That's the way I look at it. Like, I mean, those small bass, a lot of people shame small fish like crazy. And I think that, like, really at the end of the day, it's like, we most of us catch and release. Some people catch and release all the time. Most of us catch and release the majority of the time that we fish. And, it's always like, hey, send them back, let them go, let them grow. And that's the idea, with those little fish. But it's like, it's more or less about like the value. I forget exactly what it was that I had said to him, but yeah, he goes, it's funny how many small largies I caught. I was like, oh, it's awesome. Big ones start as one of those, though. I was like, you just caught the donkeys a little early. is all.
Yeah.
You know, and then he sends these pictures of these amazing freaking trout, like just absolute beasts. So I had so much fun talking to that dude, and we're gonna get together and fish the Swift.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, we're gonna get out and do some river fishing together.
Yeah, little fish win tournaments too.
They do.
I don't knock them. It's part of the process. You're going to catch more little fish than big fish. Everybody.
Yep.
Professional anglers, everybody. It's just the way it works. So that's cool. Good. Well, good. Have a good time on the Swift. Let me know how you do. I know it's a rough place to fish. So he's got the means and the ways.
Yeah.
Learn
knows
from this guru.
Up.
Learn from this Sherpa.
I don't know if he's going to get me out there throwing a fly rod around. Ooh. See if we're going to do that, or if I'm going to fish on conventional tackle. We'll see how it is, but I'm ready to go.
You might have that new spinning rod of yours with some cheese whiz on the end. That's all I'm saying. Cheese whiz. Well,
that's definitely gonna end up happening. I'll tell you, that spinning combo is money. I love that combo. It's killer. It's killer for light baits. Oh my God, it's absolutely killer. I would have been screwed had I hooked into that 6 on that, you know. And by the way, I have modified my Samurai tactical sling bag. I'm going to be doing some kind of a video that I want to share with their Instagram to have that posted. But I have modified a way not only to attach my measuring board to it, but my net.
Ooh, double whammy.
Double whammy. And I did it with these two, and I'll go into detail in there, but I've got these two like circular carabiners. And there's these fabric loops in there that these circles fit in perfectly. And I happen to just stumble across these, like, you know, you buy like Rapala's tools, fish grips or pliers. Oftentimes there's a small wrist lanyard that comes with them, and it's adjustable. You've got the two ends with a knot that go into like a little plastic housing, and it snaps tight to keep them together. And then there's an adjustable slide that you can, change the tension with. So I just rigged that through those two loops, and then I pull that tight, and it provides all the tension I need, holds the net right upside. I didn't lose the board at all as I was walking along this one hike where I fished. And I think I put 3 miles on with this bag hanging, with the board hanging from this one bag. I'm thinking I might want to drill a hole in a spot of the board and then put a beaner around that to secure it a little bit tighter. But it's there and it works. Like, it's working. So cool. I was walking around with all this stuff on my back, holding the rods, no issues. Like, it was really great. So
awesome. That's completely. I know when you and I had fished with Wild Bill, I was looking at your sling trying to figure out a way, and I said, well, you got a couple things here that might be able to help out with
those
it. That's
loops,
good you found a way.
They definitely helped. And so what I had done is I bought like an assorted bag of different carabiners, S-beaners, stuff like that. A lot of these are really, really small. A lot of these will come in very handy for modifying kayak stuff. Really, they will. Like if you want to anchor, something, you just get a little bit of paracord, create a little bit of a loop, and then you got your beaner on there. You can clip anything that you need to it. It's awesome. But the round ones that were included in this kit, and I think there's like 6 or 8 that were included, and I took 4 of them and I went right around these little fabric loops that were there, and they're nice and tight. And I mean, especially for the net, like I think the net is huge. Even when you're bank fishing, a lot of times I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I'm not going to need a net, and lots of times a net would come in very, very handy,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I can't wait to see it.
Psyched.
Pumped.
And then I'm thinking this week, depending on the weather, I think I might do a run for my first fishing trip post trivia. And do a little bit of night fishing, either for carp or carp and bass.
Name the night. You want to go out? You want to go on the boats?
Well, if I'm going to fish for carp, the areas I want to go, that's going to be a bank job. I have this one spot in mind. That'll be a bank job. But I'm thinking that, as far as the boats go, possibly I could be into that.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know. I'd love to get you out night fishing and show you how I approach it and see if you can jump in on it. Fucking feet first. See what happens. But all We got, we're coming up, what, 2 hours here talking, running our fucking flapping our gums?
Yeah, an hour and 56 minutes. So it's been a bit.
I got two things. What do you got? Anything?
I got nothing else. We're gonna throw to interview and then do our outro after this.
Well, let's split them because one thing I have to do, and you know what the other is. You want to talk about the other first, and then we'll keep this for the main event, or you want to do the other thing as a main event?
Let's do. Why don't you jump in with what you're talking about? And I think I know what this other one is.
We had a Chronic Trips tournament last month, and I came in third place.
You did.
And I got my handy-dandy Old Glory combat box as a prize. That was third place. It's I think INT is intermediate. Is that what Joe said?
I think so.
Beginner and an intermediate?
Yep.
So I saved this for this show to open this up.
Oh, you haven't even seen this?
No. And I almost had to fight Nate Shagnon because what I heard at my house the other night was, is that a combat box, dude? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, what's in it? I go, I don't know. I'm saving it for the show. And then that look of greed crossed his eyes. Let's open it. No, we're not. It's for the show. So if you can see here, combat boxes are sealed with some snazzy fucking Old Glory tape that Joe and Meg picked up. Look at that.
That's so awesome.
Yep. So it's sealed. I'm opening this bitch.
Fire it up. Grab a blade.
Yep, I got one. Oh my God, I don't have a blade. I got a fucking, I had a nail file near me. Don't ask what I have a nail file for in my room.
Okay.
Devious purposes. This takes a while with a fucking
nail file. It does take some time with a nail file.
All right.
This segment of Jigs and Bigs brought to you by any multi-tool company. And here we go.
I was going to say brought to you by Rayvon or some fucking
Revlon?
Rayvon, whatever.
Rayvon. There's Andy.
All right.
Sarge multi-tool from OGO.
All right. What do we got here?
All right. Just a heads up that the box is blocking your camera.
I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
Fuck the box. Yeah, we'll put it over here then.
Fuck the box.
Right off the bat, I got some Trocar 4-aught hooks.
Yes, baby.
Worm hooks, baby. We'll give those a whirl.
Nice.
Well. Look who's playing part in the combat box. The hook set hoodlums.
That's some hoodlum shit right there.
That is some hoodlum shit. All right. Well, look at these things. These look like sex toys. I got some X-Zone Mega Swimmers.
Oh, dude, those are huge.
Pro Shiner. This might be something I fling around at fucking the trifecta.
Yeah.
Nice. Mega Swimmers. All right. I got me a Scum Frog.
Those are amazing.
They're old school, man. Scum Frogs are the first frogs. It's white. I don't have any white frogs. We'll give that a roll. All right, what else we got here? We got some fun stuff. Oh! I should have saved this for last. A Jigs and Bigs sticker.
Of course.
I needed one.
Yeah.
We got, of course, an Old Glory sticker. What is this guy? Oh, that's nice. Hey. Nice suspending jerkbait / bait. Nice Rapala X wrap. Nice job. Finally, look at this little shit. What is this? I have not seen these. I think I've heard of them, but I have not seen one. This is a bubonic bugs square bill. Look at that shit.
Those are pretty cool. That's I think that's a Catchco.
It's called in X-ray yellow is the yeah, it is Catchco. Yep. It's X-ray yellow is the pattern. That's pretty neat. It's like a yellow black craw, with the lines. I like that shit.
There you go.
So there's my combat box. Look at me. I won.
That's awesome. Good for you, man.
A big winner.
That's huge. So our YouTube right now, the feed is blowing up. Yeah, there's like 30 people in here and the comments are ridiculous. So trust me, just ignore these comments.
Wow, what happened here?
I don't know, but there's a shit ton of comments coming in. Oh. Well, so the last thing I want to mention before we jump in here is that we've got you guys may have, fishing is obviously heating up locally and all around the Northeast, but we do have a huge change coming up to the fishing report. We had a meeting last night. with, well, you guys remember Cheryl. We had interviewed her, Northeast Wild Woman. She does a blog, and she's got a great blog. Like, things are taking off for her in a huge way, and we decided we like what she does, so we kind of want to shift the report responsibilities over to her to kind of craft this and get it together. So the goal is we'll be having that report out, and that should be in just a couple of weeks once things kind of get settled and report in details start coming in. But we'll be having a weekly report over there. You're still going to be able to get it from jigsandbigs.com. All you got to do is head over to jigsandbigs.com and click on that button. But now it will just be a hot link to bring you right over to the report over there. So she'll be running that. Good stuff for everybody. So that will, I think we were doing Thursdays before for our fishing report day to launch all that. We'll see if that's going to continue. I think that's the goal that we've got lined up right now to kind of stick to, but I love it. Let's go ahead and throw it a break now, Sean. We'll go and do our interview with Gravy Fishing with Eric Graves. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more Jigs and Bigs after this quick message from our good friends over at Three Bells Outfitters. Jigs and Bigs is proud to announce that we're being supported by Three Bells Outfitters. Located in Smith Cove on the Niantic River, TBO is Connecticut's premier paddle sports retailer. They're a full-service shop specializing in kayaks and paddleboards for everything from recreation to tournament fishing. Three Bells is an authorized dealer of Hobie, Jackson, Feel Free, Native, and Bonafide kayaks, as well as many paddleboard brands. Not sure of what kind of SUP or kayak you want? TBO offers free demos of all brands. Want to go for an extended test drive? They have a full-service rental facility on site. Three Bells also offers a complete rigging service for your kayak with such brands as Yak Attack, Yak Gear, Burley Pro, Yak Power, Torpedo, and more. The sky is the limit. You can visit Three Bells Outfitters in person or online at threebellsoutfitters.com. They ship anywhere in the lower 48 states or order online and pick up at the store. Can't make it to the store to pick up your kayak or worried the freight company might damage your purchase? Three Bells Outfitters offers a white glove delivery of kayaks within a 225-mile radius of their store at a rate less than typical freight carriers. They will deliver your kayak, set it up, and answer any questions you may have. Be sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to tell them Jigs and Bigs sent you. Three Bells Outfitters, because life is better on the water. Alrighty, guys, here we are, Bobby Roast Beef. It's interview segment time, and I have a local guy with us, Eric Graves. Eric, you might know him on Instagram as Gravy Fishing. He's been around a while, man, and it's about time we got him on the show. Eric, how you doing, buddy?
Good, how are you?
You know, not too bad, man. I went out today, did a little fishing after I made dinner for the kids, and I think I stumbled onto the pond right in the very last few moments of that, like, feeding frenzy. In today's episode, Sean had mentioned he had gotten on him like that and noticed a pattern in the winter that this will kind of happen. And after a cold front, that could be the situation. I think I kind of came up on that. I was throwing around a rattle trap, and I had one that I didn't even know there was a fish on. And I was, yo-yoing this rattle trap along the bottom, and I saw him go broadside right as he shook the trap out of his mouth. I'm like, you son of a bitch. And I could I could not duplicate it at all, man. But c'est la vie. It is what it is. So how was your day? You went out with the old STF today. How did things go?
Not so well.
Yeah?
The inside tip was not very good.
Yeah, that happens, But, it's all you can do is just roll with it, find out, sometimes find out the ones that do work and then the ones that don't. So you know the deal, man. You've been listening to this show for a long time. What we're going to do is I'm going to go and I'm just going to go through a bunch of these questions. We're going to get to know you, know some of like your preferences for like gear, style of fishing, stuff like that. And then we're going to get into some stories and stuff. And that's really like kind of the meat of it. So we'll go ahead and jump right in, man. Why don't you start off by telling me the story about how it was that you had discovered fishing, and explain a little bit about what gravy fishing is, like what you're doing out there now, and sort of the journey between the early days to now. How did this all kind of come to be?
I started fishing off and on when I was probably middle school, fished here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't get into fishing like this up until I want to say 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not as heavy as now. Now is a lot worse, as my wife will tell you.
Yep.
It's just one of those. I needed something to find, something else to do besides playing hockey all my life. So I found my itch, and I'm kind of running with it. Just try to enjoy it as much as possible. Get my kids out with me once in a while.
Yep.
I mean, they're still young, so just trying to gravy. See, the whole thing with gravy fishing is, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fishing with friends, fishing with family, but at the same time, most of the guys that I fish with are hockey players.
Gotcha.
So we're a bunch of hockey players that decided that we're getting too old for the sport and we got to find something else to compete in. So most of us picked up fishing.
Yeah. I noticed that too. Like there's definitely, a transition for a lot of athletes. Like I know Delirious Angler was in the same way. He played semi-pro football, and, he was like, yeah, man, I kind of put my body through the ringer, it's like, I can't really, you know what I mean? Especially sports like football and hockey, where it's like, I mean, it's just brutal, and it takes a toll. And this is great because whether it's competitive fishing or actually sometimes it's the same thing in the same activity, the competition and the catharsis of getting out there and connecting with nature all in one. So it's like, it's a home run, man.
Oh yeah. The competitive hockey comes out of me, especially during for this chronic trip. I'm just starting to take away points from people. Sean's a little upset because I took a point away from him today.
That's awesome.
But I also took one from Mark, so he was still okay with it.
Oh, yeah, he was all right. As long as he could keep that balance between him and Mark nice and even. Now, that's just how such an interesting sort of chemistry between those two, because they're both really good and extraordinarily different fishermen. They really, really are. They have their niche and they just work it. And it's the competitive nature of both of them is awesome. So this has been a great month for Chronic Trips. It really is. This was actually a month where I was like, I should have jumped in on this. I'll be in the Jigs and Bigs tournament though. And that's going to be a multi-species. That's going to be a fun one. I know it's going to be a really good one. So when it gets, when it's for you getting out there to fish, what's your your preference? Like what seasons do you like? What styles of bodies of water are you looking for? Are you one of these people that loves the heat of the summer, or like one of these folks that just absolutely needs to have current? How's it work for you?
I don't need any particular weather.
Yeah.
Like, this is probably the first time I've ever fished in April. I normally don't start fishing until Father's Day. No,
gotcha.
Well, maybe a little before that, but nothing like this. This year and last year have been the first times I've been out this early. So, I mean, it's bodies of water. I'd rather a small pond, easy to break down.
Yep.
Not a lot of water to cover. I mean, I fish from the bank too, so I'm not looking for anything in particular.
Yeah.
Lily pads are my enemy.
Yeah.
I can't throw a frog. I can't throw a jig. We're getting there, but those are the two toughest baits for me right now.
Yeah. It's funny, man. Like it's so crazy. Like, I mean, jigs and like punching rigs and stuff like that, like real, like heavy, like when you're talking about punching through mats or something, you need something really, really heavy, like a big jig. You're using like a 1 ounce tungsten weight or something. That doesn't happen around a lot in New England, but it's a style of fishing that I just love. But I'm with you. Like the topwater frog fishing mystified me. Topwater fishing just in general mystified me. And then last year I kind of gave it its attention, and I'm like, okay, I get it. It's just like, it's just one of those other sorts of things. But that's the thing. Everybody's got their preference. What it is that they like to do. So with that said, like, what's your short list of like your confidence baits look like?
Flukes. 100% flukes.
Gotcha.
I'll throw a fluke any color, any time of day, anywhere. Doesn't matter.
How do you like to rig them?
Usually weedless, but I tried I found it on Instagram. I don't remember who posted it, but I now try a trailer hook as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's it gives it almost the same action. It's a little bit heavier, but it's pretty much the same exact action, and it works. I got a 3-pounder last weekend with it.
No kidding. That's
I couldn't
awesome.
believe it.
Yeah, trailer hooks are a big deal. Like I was just watching a video with Becca, fishing with Becca, and she was fishing with what was it? It was a spinnerbait, and I think she maybe caught like 2 fish with it, but each one was on that trailer hook. Like sometimes they can pay off, and I've used trailer hooks before on chatterbaits, and it's been a lifesaver.
Oh, it definitely saved me.
Yeah, you know. That's awesome, man. What you got? Anything else besides flukes that are your go-to?
Not. I mean, I'll use a Senko just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Just to search around, but 9 times out of 10, I'm throwing a fluke no matter what.
Yeah, that's a good bait. It really is a great bait. It's one of those things where I think when was it last spring I caught my first jerkbait fish, and I started kind of experimenting a little bit with soft plastic jerkbaits, flukes, and then even the way that I'll fish a Senko, like weightless, I'll fish it in a very similar way to get that darting kind of action, and it's like you get great reaction strikes with that. You really, really can, and you can rig them weedless. They're great in the grass. They're really great in the grass.
I've thrown them through lily pads.
Yep.
I get a blow ups like in lily pads like people get in frogs with them.
You got a favorite brand?
Right now the Zoom Super Flukes.
Yeah, that's like the classic. That's.
I'm trying to get Damien to do it, but it's like pulling teeth. He won't do it.
Someday he'll come around. Everybody's starting. I mean, Guggen's got their own fluke style bait now. Z-Man, I have some Z-Man. I have some huge. I think they're called jerk shads. I got to double check the package. I think that's their name, jerk shads with a Z. And I mean, just these things are huge, but I picked these up specifically for Tokyo rigs. So that way, so this way I can drag like a really light tungsten weight on the bottom of that and let that buoyant bait just kind of float upright like this. And it's a great looking presentation. I got to figure out, just the Tokyo rig just in general, I got to fool around with a little bit more. I think the rigs that I'm using might be a little bit beefy, but these jerk shads are absolutely huge. I may actually play around a little bit too with a Senko on there and just see if I can get the same sort of bite.
Throw a fluke on a drop shot.
Yeah.
Works as well, too.
I do that actually quite a bit, too. Like the really small ones, the really, really tiny ones. Oh, yeah. They're great. All right, so this question probably more. You've been listening to the show for a while, so you get this. But you know that old saying that fishing tackle catches more fishermen than the stuff will actually catch fish. In your lifetime, what do you think the dumbest trend was that happened in the fishing tackle industry?
I wish I had grabbed it because I knew this question was coming.
Yep.
I was sent from, I don't know the brand, but it was one of those, almost like the mystery tackle boxes. It was a bat. It was a topwater walking bat. I can't think of the name of it.
It's funny you say that. So when I was a kid, I can remember, my father had this tackle box full of gear that, from my memory, he never used like 80% of it. You know what I mean? It was always like when we fished together, it was always live bait. We're throwing mealworms, night crawlers, occasionally shiners. And he had all of this artificial stuff, and he would always say, "Oh, that stuff doesn't work. It doesn't work. And he had this one lure in there, and it was a bat. It was a black plug with it almost looked like a silver painted skeleton on it. And it had these 2 wings that would hinge outward like that.
That's exactly what it looked like.
There's a huge buzz with those topwater walkers where they kind of crawl, and I don't know, man. I'm kind of a believer in some of those baits, but it looks, the idea itself, I think I get what you're saying. Like the bat pattern.
Yep. The spider, the bat, the duck.
The duck. The first duck looked like a rubber ducky. It didn't even look real. It was I don't know. But hey, it works. The stuff, it will catch fish. Look at the I'm a big proponent of the BBZ rat. And that sucker will catch fish, and it looks like something you'd buy at like a novelty shop somewhere.
It does.
You know,
I have one. I've thrown it 3 times.
Yeah.
Haven't caught anything on it. So
yeah, it's just one of those things, man. Now, what are 3 people that you would absolutely love to fish with? And they can be living, they can be dead. It doesn't matter.
Well, that's a tough one. Obviously, Mike Iaconelli is a big one.
Oh yeah.
Probably Elvis Presley.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I could see that. I wonder if he can fish.
I'm sure he's from the South.
Yeah, you would assume so.
You would think.
Yeah, you'd assume so for sure.
And I have to say you.
Yeah?
We have to get out.
We're going to make that happen, man. We're definitely going to make that happen.
Been out there with Sean.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm fishing with me and fishing with Sean are 2 totally different things.
Oh,
2 totally different things. It's a great time to go and fish with Sean, but I think it's a whole other ball game when people fish.
That's all right. Let's go.
It's good. So yeah, we'll plan some of that stuff. When you're when you're on your way to the water, what are you generally listening to kind of get yourself hyped up, or like where's your head at for like what you're listening to?
It's usually a mix.
Yep.
I can give you Sean's favorite. There is Limp Bizkit in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a big favorite. It is.
Well, I grew up in that era.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
Probably today. Let's see. Today there was Limp Bizkit, Kid Rock, Korn.
Yep.
Motley Crue was in there. AC/DC was in there. Guns N' Roses.
It's funny you mentioned Kid Rock of all people because
Wild Bill is
Wild Bill's man. He's killing it. I mean, and with the second one, and I love the look on his her eyes couldn't roll further back in her head with how done she was with that. Oh my god, I just laughed my ass off because I know the feeling. My daughter's it's the same exact thing. I do something.
I hear you.
Anything, and it's like you got to be kidding me. What's your goal for fishing? Like, where would you like to see it bring you in like the next 5 years, 10 years?
In the next 5 years, I'd like to start having my own plastics.
Oh, okay, very nice.
Making my own plastics.
Yep.
Continue growing slowly.
Yep.
Just getting out there and having fun and getting my name out there. That's all.
Yeah. That's the beauty of it. It's like everybody has a different answer to that. And it's funny. Everybody has the same response. They're like, man, 5 years, 10 years, what is it I really want to see happen with fishing in my life? And it's crazy because everybody's answer is totally different and there is no right answer. It's like it is your relationship with fishing is whatever it is. And that's what's so amazing about it. Have you taken any trips specifically with the intention to fish?
I mean, I've never left pretty much New England to go fishing.
Yep.
I've gone striper fishing every year, but nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing like Nelson or anyone that's traveling south to go fishing.
Yep. And I think that's kind of like the defining line. Like I've fished in a handful of New England states. I don't think I would say that I've traveled anywhere specifically to fish because I haven't really, like I've gotten licenses for other states and stuff like that. Like Connecticut, but I wouldn't consider going and fishing in Connecticut any kind of like a travel or a trip or anything like that. I do have some places that I do want to fish, and I think this year I might be lucky enough to actually make it happen. One of those is a bucket list trip to Champlain, and that's definitely happening. So that'll be later this fall.
I'd like to get up to Winnipesaukee.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been on it frozen. Now I need it regular. I need open water, not hard water.
Yeah. That's a whole other, like this winter, I think when we get further into the summer, I'm going to start taking a look around to see if I can track down the right gear to get out and ice fish. Cause I do want to do it and go the distance, it's one of these things where if I have to go to Maine to get safe ice, like I'm going to do it, but I want to be geared up and ready. So I'm not out there for an hour and I'm like, all right, let's drive home. Let's drive back home.
There was no ice fishing. It was nothing but a pond hockey tournament.
Yeah. Oh, there was really?
No fishing.
Oh man. No kidding. Pond hockey is that's a whole other thing.
Oh, it's cold.
Yeah, it is, man. It's very cold. Oh,
there's a lot of booze involved in that one.
I'm sure that there is. I'm absolutely sure. Is there any kind of like a destination, like a dream trip or a bucket list trip that you would love to make if there was one body of water? Where is it you would absolutely love to go?
Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan, huh? Smallies?
Smallies, the lake trout that are out there. Yep. That could be a good time.
Great Lakes, just in general, are like it's a whole other style of fishing. You know, I mean, yeah. I see these. You know, you could get out there even with like some decent, you know, bass boats, and it can be rough. You know, I mean, it's crazy, but yeah, I think the Great Lakes, just in general, it's like. I think where was I? I was in Chicago. And like could not comprehend the size of the lake. I was there for the Taste of Chicago, and we were right up against the water. And I'm just like, this feels like the ocean. It doesn't feel like this is a freshwater body of water. You know, I mean, it's crazy.
The fish got to be huge in there. I mean, look at the size of it.
And the population. I mean, come on. You know, it's got to be absolutely loaded.
Yeah.
When you're going out for like a typical day, what's your general rod and reel arsenal sort of look like? Like, is there a top 3 or a 5 rod setup that you're going to bring with you?
I usually carry 3.
Yep.
I got 2 bait casters. Right now I'm carrying a 6-gill.
Okay. Yep.
And that's attached to a 6-gill. Oh, what's the name? I can't even think of the name of the rod now. It's another 6-gill rod.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got probably my Black Max.
Gotcha. Nice.
It's a bait caster.
Yep.
And then I got a Lunker Hut spinning reel.
Sweet.
So it's nothing crazy, nothing over the top.
Yep.
But usually one of them set up with throwing flukes. Usually my Black Max is set up with fluke.
Yep.
Then my spinning rod, usually a Ned rig or I'm trying to think what else I put on there. Spinner bait, stuff like that. Nothing crazy, nothing heavy.
Yeah.
And then my 6-gill depends on what I'm looking at, what's around me.
Yeah.
It all varies. I mean, I'll tie a frog on and try it, but usually nothing happens. I'll get the huge blow up, but there's no fish on the other ends.
You know, that was me for a long time. It's like you get, and you're just like, you almost feel accomplished because you're like, yeah, that blow up was amazing. Wish I could have gotten him to the friggin' bank, you know, or I wish I could have gotten him to the boat. And you're just like, damn it, you know. But it's like once you
try it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. You never ever stop. You got to keep trying whatever it is, and you know, kind of put yourself in that situation. I'm lucky that I have like almost right in my backyard a body of water that is ideal for frogging and punching because it's such heavy cover up on top. It's all lily pads and just mats of just nastiness, and it's not deep. You know, it's really not that deep. It's probably at the deepest it gets to maybe 18 inches. Nothing crazy. So, you know, it's one of these things where I had to go and actually just put myself in that spot with that one rod and just work that frog until, you know, and they would blow up and I'd be like, okay, this is great. I got to wait. And part of it too, I feel, was using the wrong reel for the job. Like I was using way too slow of a reel. When I first started, I was using a 6-speed reel, like I was using a Black Max as well.
Yeah.
But then getting a faster reel let me pick up that line that much better, that much quicker. And it was sort of a game changer. Like even when I was using like the right rod, like a really heavy, like a pool cue of a rod, but it just took time, you know, and even now, at least if nothing else, I'm like, I know that I can catch fish on a frog. The one thing that I still want to work on frog fishing is being successful in a kayak. Because that, to me, is like a whole other kind of action. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, you can get deeper in there and get different areas to cover.
And it's even walking baits, like, you know, stuff like that, like trying to do that from a kayak is, to me, I feel like I need to be standing for that. And I'm not exactly the stand in the kayak kind of guy. You know what I mean?
I'm right there with you.
So I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that.
Standing in a kayak, no. I'd much rather stand up at a kayak than sit down.
Oh yeah, if possible. I forget who was I talking to. Was it you that posted about your kayak? You get like 4 hours or so, and then like your legs are just numb.
Yes.
So I thought I saw that in the chat, and I was like, hold on a second. I said, this reminds me of a story. So a buddy of mine, this probably goes back 2012, 2013. And I used to play in a bunch of bands, and a guy who I played in a number of those bands with, he loved to fish too. And when I started getting into bass fishing, I told him, I said, we should get together and go out, go find a few spots. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. He's a little older than I am. He's a little bit of a hippie, He's like, yeah, man, we'll have a great time. I'll bring my kayak. It'll be great. So he shows up with this sit-in, like, recreational kayak. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. And he's got an ultralight rod, like a fly box full of, like, super light tackle. And he's like, I'm going to take a paddle around and, see what I can get on. And I'm catching fish where we are, nothing crazy, but dink bass and crappie and stuff. And I barely know what the hell I'm doing bass fishing at all. And he comes back around. He's like, this pond is amazing. You got to get in here and give it a go. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I was actually a little bit lighter back then too. So I get in this kayak. I made it 15 seconds before I could not feel my legs because your legs are straight out. Like you're sitting. Yeah. I don't know if they think there's a seat in there or maybe he forgot it, but you're like, if I sit on the floor, immediately losing all feeling in my legs immediately. Oh, yeah. It's just like, it's crazy. So the first time I got into a sit on top kayak, I was like, this is totally different. Totally different. In fact, when I picked mine up, I started with the seat in the highest position because it could go so high. I was like, we'll give this a go. And I'm sitting up there and I'm like, whoa, this is not good. I got to go paddling into shore and I'm gonna drop this down a click or two. And it was night and day. But yeah, sit on top. It just changed everything for me. It's crazy.
Yeah, mine is, I had to get a new seat for mine.
Yeah.
So mine's the Field and Stream Eagle Talon. Mm-hmm. And it's an upgrade from what I had.
Yep.
But now my legs are still out straight. I'm not.
Yeah.
I want to elevate a little bit higher. So I'm not basically scraping my ass across the ground the entire day.
There is a Delirious Angler just put out a video on his YouTube channel. And at the end of it, he does a breakdown. He's got this nice Old Town topwater, and I forget the name of the company that does this, but they 3D print parts to modify kayaks. And I don't know if it's just like exclusively Old Town stuff that they do or anything, but that might be an option too. You might find that there's some kind of a clamp that you can put the seat in that lifts it up, half inch, an inch or so, or multiple.
Oh no, this is not a stable kayak.
Oh,
getting up any higher.
Not a good idea.
No. I don't need to go back in the water.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I think I looked at that Eagle Talon too, and I was like, this is a nice looking boat, but I'm like, I don't know.
It's good. It's good if you're young.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely not that. So yeah, I think we're better off exactly where we're at. Oh, I love this.
Now, if I can get a kayak like Sean, I'll be all set.
That's the dream right there.
That's the Cadillac right there.
He's got a nice freaking boat. He's got a nice boat. We're hoping to make some changes to my boat soon. So, oh man. So I have a new question. It's totally random. We actually talked about it in the episode that dropped today. And so what is your favorite chicken joint? And when I say that, what I mean is it's got to either one, be in a gas station or has to have a drive-through.
Wow.
It's a weird question, but I kind of love it. Oh.
Wow, you just got me. I don't even know. I'd have to say Popeyes.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying. Popeyes. So I love Popeyes. It's never, ever. Although I will say, have you ever heard of crispy, crunchy chicken?
No.
So it's been around for a while. It's been around since like the 90s, I think, based in Louisiana.
All right.
And their whole thing is that they're in gas stations. Like out this way, we have some gas stations with this thing called Chester fried chicken or something like that.
I have
Chester the molester. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't eat fried chicken out of a gas station.
Yeah, so I was like, I know where that's going to lead to. That's going to be bad news. Yeah. But I've been hearing all this stuff about this company, Crispy Crunchy Chicken. And one day, my daughter was like, "Hey, we should go grab lunch." And we're actually going to go fish at that later that day. I was like, you know what? I've got a couple errands to run. We can stop by here. We're going to get Crispy Crunchy, and it gives Popeyes a run for its money.
Really?
It really does. Like, it does some things that are really, like, their biscuits are, I am such a fat guy. Their biscuits are ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous.
I'm going to have to find one now.
Yeah, I mean, look at your local gas stations. You'll probably track one down. I was really, really surprised. I'm like,
well, I'm not that far away from you. You're going to have to fill me in on that one.
Absolutely. It's good, man. It's surprising. So that's a random kind of question. This one is pretty awesome. So Sean had kind of modified this in a recent interview, but Sean and I, we're getting the van. We're going to kidnap you and take you to some unnamed body of water. We don't know the conditions. Nobody knows anything, but you basically have, we'll say you have 2 rods that you can bring with you, right?
Oh, we're going to 2 rods.
We're going to go with 2 rods for this one.
Oh boy.
So you get 2 rods to bring with you, right? How are you setting up each combo, and what are you tying on each one?
Do I get to keep my pants on this time?
I'm going to say you're allowed. Sean might argue differently. I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
Yeah. This time. Might be more of that story about fishing with him. I know.
No, this wasn't a fishing with Sean story either.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to bring my black mats.
Yep.
Set up with flukes, obviously. And then probably a spinning rod.
Yeah.
Probably I don't even know what spinning rod I'd take. Probably one of their favorite spinning rods.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably set it up with a Ned rig.
There you go. Yeah.
Because that'll cover everything. Right? Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the beauty about flukes too. Like, you can, if you've got a fast reel, you can burn them across the top.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a lot that you can do. You can work all levels of the water column. It's like it's dynamite. So
depending on where you set your hook, it'll drop lower or it'll stay higher.
It's true. Yeah, that's true too.
So you get the versatility of that as well.
Yeah. It's amazing too. There's so many like funky hacks when it comes to soft plastics. Like, nothing's off the table almost. You know, it's like you can pretty much count on there's somebody's always got a way to do it. You know what I love finding is where I'll be out fishing and maybe I get like my jig caught on somebody's line and I pull something up, but when it's the whole rig and you can see what they were using and you're just like, oh, that's kind of crazy. You were using it like the pre-tied trout hooks, the bait holders like that have the leader and everything on them. You just put them on a swivel. I've seen those with they were tied to a swivel that had a bead on it. I don't know why. There was nothing to make any noise. Had a bead on it, and then hanging off the hook, right through the head was a Zoom lizard.
Really?
Yeah, just right through the head, just kind of hanging there. I'm like, well, all right.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah,
I guess.
I've pulled up people's rigs that they've lost, they've broke off on, where it's been like a jig and pig. You ever seen one of those?
No.
It's like it's a jig, right? But instead of a trailer, it's like pork skin and fat. Yeah.
All right.
And when it sits in the water, it just bloats up. It's ridiculous. So
that's interesting.
It's like almost like the original chunk trailer, if you can imagine that. So
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
They must have been going for catfish that day.
I don't know. You know, it's supposed to be like a bass thing, but I could definitely see where you fish with stinky bait, and I mean, catfish are going to absolutely love it.
Oh yeah.
So the cornerstone of this interview, and you know how this works, there's 2 stories that I'm looking for. The first one is that like super epic, like I'm super proud of this moment. Like when somebody, like, think of it as like if you were having a conversation with somebody at a party and they're like, oh, you like to fish, you know, what is that story you would lead with them? The one where you're just like, oh, holy cow, this is amazing. And then the other story that I need from you is like that world's biggest sort of... We've got too many of those as anglers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with the worst story.
Okay. All right.
I want to say it was early May. Was out fishing with my buddies. We're out trout fishing.
Nice.
And I was in one of those sit-in kayaks. It was my first kayak. Well, I was a smart guy and tried to stretch my legs out. So I put my hands behind my back and pushed up on the back part of the seat.
Yep. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Up and over.
Man, that's rough.
I lost my phone, my tackle, my poles. I was 30 feet from shore.
How deep were you?
10, 15 feet.
Okay, so deep enough to be a problem. Yeah.
Oh, it was a problem.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
My buddy was, I don't know, 10 yards away from me, watched it all happen.
Jesus.
In slow motion.
Oh.
And, of course, Sean's going to yell at me for this one. No life jacket on.
Of course.
It's the only way it's going to go.
Yep.
So I basically hit the water, instantly didn't panic, just hit the water, popped back up, jumped onto my kayak as quickly as I could.
Oh, so it didn't sink on you. That's awesome. That's great.
Well, no, it went belly up. So the bottom came back up. It was still full of air.
Good.
As soon as I put my weight on it, forget it. It was awful. This thing started sinking like the Titanic.
Yeah.
So I grabbed what I could and I just started swimming.
Yep.
Got to shore. It was bad.
It's so funny because I have a neighbor who has 2 recreational kayaks on this rack, and we can, like, our houses are right next door to each other. And I was outside today making dinner on the grill, and I have my Ascend 128 out there, and I've been doing a couple of things to it, getting things ready, getting ready to get the trailer and everything in place for it. And I've got this out here, and my youngest daughter's out there with me, and she's looking at it, and then she's looking in the neighbor's yard, and she goes, Dad, she says, are those kayaks or are those canoes? And I said, nope, they're kayaks. But I was like, they're totally, totally different. And she was like, well, how are they different? And I said, well, I go, with this kayak, it's hollow on the inside. And there's hatches to close it up. So that's the idea. If this gets water, like on the deck or anything, the scupper holes, it all just goes right back in. I said, if you flip this over, it's going to stay on top of the water. Yes. I said, in that kayak, if you flip it over, it can fill with water. Really, yeah. I was like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, if that fills with water, it's gone. You're gonna have to pull that sucker out. And if you're deep, oh my God. So she was like, oh, really? That's kind of crazy. And I'm like, and my parents have wrecked kayaks as well. And actually, my mother has made the switch to an inflatable kayak. Which,
that's worse.
I think if you're paddling and you're just out to have a great day on the water, fantastic. But I know me, and I know hooks, and I know I'm going to end up it's basically going to be disposable because I'm not going to be able to get out of it. Like, it's going to be bad, Just going to be like, yeah.
Hooks and things that inflate are never a good match.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. I just, I've seen some people on Instagram that use the floats that it almost looks like a big easy chair, and they sit there with flippers and they'll fish like that. And I'm like, that's such a great idea, but I know me, and I know I'd get a rattle trap stuck in it. Or I'd go and cast and I'd be like, psh, oh shit, Yep. That'd be bad.
Down you go.
Yep. It could be game over. So what about the good one? Let's lift it back up.
The good one, I have 2 of them.
Okay. Hit me with them.
My first one I'd have to say is when my oldest daughter, Emma, finally caught her first bass.
Oh, that's a great feeling.
It was just, we just went out, you bring them sun fishing. Worm, bobber, whole nine, just let them throw it out there, let them see what they get. And when she was reeling this thing in, it just, the way her eyes just lit up, and she was excited. So excited. Wouldn't hold the fish yet.
Yep.
She was maybe 4 or 5 at the time.
Oh, yeah.
But it was one of those, a proud moment.
Yep.
Because I never fished with my parents.
Yeah.
My father never fished, never took me fishing.
Yep.
None of that. My parents were separated, so my mom was always working. My dad was always who knows where.
Yeah.
So it was one of those moments where it basically living through my daughter.
Yeah,
fishing
yeah. You got to have that moment, but just on the parent side, that's amazing. I had something happen. I think it was just last year, and this is crazy. My oldest daughter, I've been bringing her fishing since she was, 4 or 5. Maybe even a little bit younger, but I can remember bringing her all over the place, and lots of times it was more like she wanted me to choose places where we would fish where there might be a nearby park or playground, because she was way more into like doing that than she was actually fishing. And I was like, all right, that's cool, we'll go and do this. And there was one time where we were fishing this one pond, and she had a combo set up, and she was playing at the park, and I was like, hey, Chloe, I said, look over here. Rod's going crazy. And she caught like a 14-inch pickerel. And she was like, that's amazing. Like, it was just cool, you know? Again, wouldn't touch it. So she turned 17 this summer. All right?
Wow.
Yeah. Last year, there's this one pond that I'll fish, and sometimes like she just wants to get out of the house and wants to convince me to take them somewhere. She's like, hey, you know, what if Delaney and I go and walk the trail and you can fish while we do that? And I'm like, that's not a terrible idea. We'll go for it. So this one day she's like, I think I'm going to fish. I said, okay, cool. Sounds good. So I rigged her up with, I think I did a weightless Senko, and I just let her go to town with a spinning combo, and she was great. And she caught, I think in total, like 3 or 4 bass. And she's lipping them, taking the hooks out, like no problem. Like really, like I was like, this is amazing. And of course, I did the smart dad thing. I was just like, that's awesome. And that was all that we heard about it. I didn't bring it up like, hey, you want to come fishing again and everything, because the last thing I wanted to be is an obligation, you know. So it was just freaking dynamite, man.
No, absolutely. Both my girls want to go fishing now, but I'm like trying to find time to bring them.
Yeah, for sure, man. Those days run out, and you're like, damn, you know. And I wish I would have taken my own advice and left my gear at home, gone out with their stuff, and that's it. Now they kind of know a little bit more what's more. I don't have to worry about like untangling lines and getting stuff out of trees or whatever, baiting the hooks.
That's why I bring the wife.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome, man. No, what about the other one? What's the other really good one?
When I caught my PB.
Yeah.
That's what got me really hooked back into it.
Yep.
For the most part. Don't ask me this. We couldn't get the scale to work that day.
Yep.
Didn't measure it. I know I have pictures of it everywhere. I mean, this thing had to be at least 5 pounds.
Okay. So this is a big fish.
It was a huge bass.
Yeah.
And it was first time ever using a bait caster.
Oh my God, really? Oh.
I literally, and you know how it is when you first get a bait caster.
Yeah.
And nobody teaches you how to use it. You got to learn for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, we had a swim bait on it, threw it, bird's nested, complete shit.
Yeah.
Complete shit. Getting it out, all of a sudden it started reeling this thing in. I had no idea that thing was on the backside.
Just dead stick in the bait, and it was just bunk. Wow.
Yep.
That is amazing.
And I got this. I was having a panic attack. Yeah. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. That's amazing, dude.
Sitting kayak, and I dropped this thing inside my kayak with me. I didn't care.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man.
It wasn't letting them go.
Exactly. The last thing you want to do is lose them. That's awesome, though. I mean, what's important, though, is like you got the picture. Like, that's huge, you know, and like, what a freaking way to go. Like, just first time out with a bait caster, like, that is crazy.
Oh, my buddy couldn't believe it. Yeah. He was with me. He's like, are you kidding me? He goes, you take this bait caster. You've never used it, never done anything with it before.
Yep.
You throw it, your bird's nest it, and you come up with this 5-pound fish.
Yeah.
And he goes, this is ridiculous.
That's amazing. That's one hell of a freaking technique. I love it. I love it.
I should try it again, but.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, you know, when you start talking, like there's nothing like a good big fish to just like wake up your, like, even if you're fishing and like you're killing it, and maybe like I suppose, I can't imagine this, but I suppose at some point there's got to be fishermen out there that are just jaded with it. Like they're just going through the motions. Maybe like they're guides and it's just like the gig. You know what I mean? Something like that. But there's just something about like when you hook into an absolute monster, it just undoes all of that. And I don't know if maybe that's why you don't see that many jaded fishermen out there. Is because you hook into something that's impressive or new, or you break new ground somewhere and you're just like, oh wow, this is something else. Because that's kind of what happened to me. I had gotten into bass fishing and I put it down because I was just having an awful year. It was just the worst. Like, couldn't get on fish. Like, the frustration was just absolutely destroying me. I'm like, I'm sinking so much into this, and I'm like, I am not seeing the kind of results. And then about a season had gone through, I had done nothing. And I had a buddy of mine. I was packing up a trivia night at the end of a night, and he's like, you and I should go fishing tomorrow. He's like, I'm going to go to this place. Well, why don't you meet me over there? And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I have all this gear. I'll go out. We'll see what happens. And it was like first cast. I caught a 3-pounder. I was like, all right, so here we go. And that was the biggest fish I had hooked into in a long time, probably maybe even ever. At that point.
Yeah. I was running into that in the start of the season this year.
Yeah.
I really didn't start fishing until the beginning of April when the chronic strip started.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've gone out a dozen times and very little. I mean, I caught the 3-pounder last week. I had a couple of 9-inch nibblers before that.
Yep.
Today again, I went out with Sean. No bass. I had no bass on my line. I had a perch and a crappie. That was it.
Yep. Yeah.
But it's because you always want to go looking for it. It's there. He's there somewhere. She's hiding in those weeds, or underneath that next cast could be that one.
Yep.
And that's one of the best things about fishing.
Yeah.
It's because the next throw could be that one.
Yep. It's the chase, you're always looking for that. It is. And that's the beauty of it. Like, fishing means so much to so many different people, and that's just killer, like, it's whatever it is, whether it's social or not. It's just, it's bananas, man. Awesome, Eric.
Coming from an athlete.
Yep.
I played in Lake Placid, New York, and won a gold medal. I've won a silver medal. I won a bronze medal.
Oh, wow.
I've won numerous championships throughout my career. Huh?
Yep.
And it's that next cast could be that one.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're always chasing your PB.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I wish I got measurements on that fish more, was able to measure it, because it would be hanging on my wall somewhere in my house.
Yep, I'm the same way. Like, that's when I get, like, now I finally have the marker of where I'm like, I'm going to take all these measurements and get a replica done. That's the goal. I want to be able to do that. So yeah, I can't wait. I got to break 20 is what I got to break, and I'll be good.
Well, I got to break 19.
Yeah.
So we'll take it for now.
Absolutely, dude. This is good, Eric. I'm glad we finally got you on the show. Congratulations too, by the way, on being part of the Hookset Hoodlums pro staff. Like, that came out of nowhere. I was just on Instagram and I was just like, wait a minute, that's great.
Yeah,
that's all right. That's awesome, man. That's great. And I'm like, cool. It was a shocking. Yeah.
Because I had reached out to, and I'll tell you the whole story. I reached out to Wild Bill, and I was like, all right, what are you going to do to be on this pro staff? And he goes, hold on, let me get back to you. And next, I got a confirmation email saying I'm part of the pro staff.
Yep.
I was like, I wasn't expecting that, but all right, we'll go with it.
Yep.
I don't know how he does it, but I am very thankful and honored by being allowed to join, yourself and everybody else over there.
It's a huge, family. There's no other word to describe it. It is fantastic. And it's, it's stretched so much further than just in New England. Like, initially it kind of sounds like, oh yeah, New England, great. So this obviously means, I assume, that you're going to be part of the Boats and Scroats Challenge.
Yes.
All right, perfect. That's what we want. This is going to be amazing. I'm really, really excited about this. And what the plan is moving forward is we're going to determine a date for basically a handful or whomever is interested in taking part that's in New England that can get together and do this. And then we're going to go, and once we have the event kind of set, go and try and work it out with some of the folks that are further outside this area. And then there's talk about.
Can we just fly Cody up?
Oh, we're gonna have to. We're just gonna have to. I mean, he's talked about coming out this way, but I mean, Cody, Alex, Swamp Rat Fishing, Rachel, but I mean, there's a lot of that entire like those, and then Bud, he's in New Jersey as well. Bud the Angler, that's 4 that are in Jersey right there. So I'm thinking, they could probably work something out, starting in Crumpton and make it like it'll be a tour.
Yeah.
I'm saying they do it the right, and I'll tell you what. I had Big Nasty on. He was the last interview that I had just recorded, and he had even said his suggestion was to record that interview after his trip with Cody. I am so glad he did, because like just amazing stuff, and he had nothing but amazing things to say. He's like, Cody is one of the most hospitable and knowledgeable fishermen that's ever lived, that he's ever crossed paths with. He's like, he knows this amazing stuff, and he is just a genuine good dude. And apparently he can cook.
The stories are killer.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Some of the stories he comes out with are just like, what did he just say? Where did that just come from?
We got to make some time to record with him soon, because we're going to be bringing back a segment similar to the Sean the Fisherman segment, but it's going to be a little bit more Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas style with Cody running it. I think it's going to be good. So we'll get old Lockwood in here and make it happen.
Oh boy,
sweet. All right, Eric, this was awesome, man. Why don't you go ahead and tell people where they can track you down on social media? If you have anything coming up, there's an opportunity to promote yourself. Go for it.
You can find me on Instagram at GravyFishing12. I'm also on Facebook under GravyFishing12, or you can find me on Facebook as Eric Graves. That's about it. I mean, thank you again for Bobby for having me.
Oh, glad to.
Thanks to everyone that's supported me through this start.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping to grow bigger and take everybody along for the ride.
Definitely, man. It's going to happen. This is a big year for all of us. This is going to be huge. This is going to be absolutely killer. Eric, thank you so much, man. Do me a favor. Send me a pic of you holding a giant, and we'll use that for the artwork for the show. Sound good?
All right. Sounds
awesome,
good.
buddy. All right. Take care, bud. You have a good one.
You too.
All right. See ya. Alrighty, guys, another amazing show for Jigs and Bigs this week. Thanks so much for coming in here and checking it out. Lots of stuff is going on. We've got the Jigs and Bigs tournament that is currently underway. If you guys have not registered for that, it's easy. All you got to do is go and download the Fishing Chaos app. Once you download that, just search Jigs and Bigs. You'll see the tournament right there. You can enter. And remember, this tournament is a fundraiser for Make Massachusetts Fishing Spots Great Again. So the money that you're putting in there, yes, a portion of it is going to prizes, but what's left is going to make Massachusetts Fishing Spots Great Again. They're having a big impact on our local environment, and if you would like some information about that group, you should check out the episode that we did with Make Massachusetts Fishing Spots Great Again. We did it probably a couple months ago. I may even leave a link in the notes here for you guys to check that out, because they're an amazing organization doing fantastic stuff, and this is kind of our way to go ahead and keep in with it. So we appreciate those guys over there and their cleanup efforts. Huge amount of appreciation. All right, cool. So that wraps up this week's show. I appreciate you guys for checking it out and jumping in and supporting us the way that you do. Get involved with that tournament. Get out there and catch some fish. We've got lots more good stuff coming up for you guys that you're going to want to stay tuned for. We've only cracked the surface of the spawn here in New England. So we're excited about where this is going to be going for us. Very, very excited. Sean, how about you? What do you got for me?
I got nothing else, man. It's been a long day. We're good.
Nothing else. I would like to just share this.
Penny for your thoughts.
I hate Brenda, and a bad guy hit me in the shin, and I peed all on my pants.
It's nothing a little music can't help. Rockin', and rollin'.
I love Yoda.
Down to the beach I'm strolling, but the seagulls poke at my head. Not fun. I said,
not
seagulls,
fun.
Stop it now.
So with that being said, guys, we're going to wish you a fond farewell. Have yourself a great week, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday for more Jigs and Bigs excitement. I'm Bobby Roastbeef. On behalf of myself and Sean the Fisherman, tight lines, everybody.
And they did have me going like, nothing I could do but yell when these birds attacked me. When I tried to run, I fell, and then these kids started laughing. And then got hit in the neck with a hacky sack. Where did it come from? Now run, run, run. I can be a backpack while you run, 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 jump and stop. Put me down. I love to groove and boogie. Yeah.
Great.
Show you some dance moves.
No, I don't want you to.
If I had your giant feet out there on the beach, could have outrun those birds.
You're a psycho wiener.
Let me grab my beater.
Stop it, please. Don't hit me. Please. Don't hit me.
Come on, man, quit that banging.
Hey, what's that stank?
You put a fish in our basket.
Oh, yeah. I forgot I did that.
You owe me an apology.
Just hold your breath and see when the time is right. Birds will back your face. Now run, 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 jump. I can be your backpack while you run. Swing from a hairy vine. I can be your backpack while you climb. Stand on one hand and lift rocks with your special gift. Run, 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 jump. Now breathe. That's good. Like that. Like that. One day I was walking and I found this big log. Then I rolled the log over, and underneath was a tiny little stick. And I was like, that log had a child. Listen, boy, someday when you are older, you could get hit by a boulder. While you're lying there screaming, come help me, please. The seagulls poke your knees. Stop it now.
Yeah, whatever, you're sort of pitchy.
Didn't like it?
Listen, man, I'm not your friend.
Don't fall asleep. Stop it now.